What's going on? Welcome back to the No Clue Podcast, episode 204. We are back. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Mike.
Tyler, welcome. NBA season is finally, to the casual fans, is getting good. To us who really love NBA, we love it all season long, but a lot of people who don't love the NBA or, just want to watch the really exciting games and stuff love this time of the year because now every game matters to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of teams are racing to the playoffs. A lot of teams want to get higher seeds. And
So many things
um,
could change.
so many things change. Yeah,
Like we could have an
especially
entirely different picture in a week or two.
yeah, exactly. And then now, after trades have happened, everyone wants to see the new super teams that have been put together or been torn apart, at least,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, it is that time of the year, fun time of the year. March Madness is coming, NCAA and NBA has their own little form of March Madness playing for seeding. So we have to start with the Dallas Mavericks, who, since they've traded and gotten Kyrie, are 2-4, I believe. Is that correct?
That wasn't their first win uh yesterday.
Maybe it was their first one. Yeah. 1-4.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's it.
No, I feel like they won one where one of them was out. Didn't Kyrie win one without Luka?
I think
And then
yeah,
Luka,
he did. The first
yeah. So
game, first when he first got there, the first game he played, Luka didn't play.
right, and they won that.
Mm-hmm.
And then since they've been on the court at the same time, this is the first win. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's 2-4 since Kyrie got there, but first win as a duo,
And it
and they
took how
combined
many
for 82
points?
points. 82 points they combined for,
I
and it was
mean,
still a really close game. Still
well,
basically came down to the wire.
I really don't count it as like a close game. I count it as Dallas being really sloppy
Yeah,
because they really
bringing it
did
back.
dominate. Like they looked much more dynamic offensively. Their spacing was just night and day better.
Yeah,
Uh,
for a quarter they
obviously,
dominated.
I mean, obviously that they had the two best players on the court, 90% of the night.
Yeah, they did. They did
Uh,
the whole night. The whole night.
and to their credit, like I know it doesn't look like they had 80 points from the two stars, but the other guys did shoot the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Bullock shot well.
really, yeah, that's really all they
Hardaway shot
need.
well. Yeah, it is. Um, it is. Do you, when you say that's all they need in the playoffs, do you think they'll need someone else to be a consistent scorer, or do you think they just need the combined consistent effort from all the shooters they have? I think that's something that a lot of people have been talking about. The media has been talking about. Even the team has been questioning: are they going to
Yeah.
have a third guy to contribute every night that they know what they're going to get out of? Because Hardaway, Bullock, Clever, Wood have all been these, almost X factors for them.
Yeah.
Green down the line.
My thing is with them, like offensively, I know they're going to be hot and cold.
Hmm.
And they were that last year. The first round, they kind of exposed mismatches. But a lot of why they won was they shot the ball well. I mean, the
Hmm.
4 games they won, they just shot lights out.
Yeah.
And even the Golden State game they won, they shot lights out.
Right.
So what's weird to me is Dallas really hasn't changed at all.
Yeah. It's just another guy that's
Like Christian
doing
Wood
it.
got there, he didn't change them at all. He was just kind of more of what they already had, maybe a little more scoring as a big, but it's not
Hmm.
like consistent enough that it makes a reliable, meaningful impact.
Right.
And now, like you made this big trade for Kyrie. I've been hyping up Finney Smith as one of their most important players, for the last year and a half. Clear
Yeah.
their defense got much worse without him, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's where they're gonna struggle.
Hmm.
Because now there's more pressure on those role players to shoot the ball well,
Hmm.
which which is kind of disappointing. And I look at Kyrie as the source of that.
I I would say both of them is the source of that, and I think that for me, one big issue is that their role players don't get any shots other than threes or corner threes.
That's why they're
Like
like this. Like they shoot teams out the gym and then they look awful.
exactly, yeah. And the thing is, they have guys like Hardaway, like Wood, who have really nice mid-range games, who can go to the basket pretty well. They have Powell, who's a pretty good screen setter. But how often does Luka hit the roller on the pick and roll? It's really not really a pick and roll. It's a pseudo screen for the mismatch for the
Yeah.
switch, and then Powell just gets out the way. I think that if they don't find a game where they can mix up shots other than right hand layups or kickouts, like I just think they'll be too predictable for like the really good teams for 7 games. You could be any team 2 games like this,
Hmm.
like how they play every night. But once we get into 7 games they will probably won't have home court. They could, but they may not. So if they don't have home court, you're coming to another gym 3 times. I don't know, well, 4 times maybe. I don't know if they'll have enough to come against a game plan. A good team is game planning against them every night. Because like I said, it's really only like I said, it's only right hand layups or kick out threes. That's it. Even for Kyrie, I thought Kyrie would come and they would start playing on both sides of the floor. No, it's still a screen to get Kyrie to the right hand and get out the way, and Kyrie goes and gets the right hand layup.
And to be honest, and I look at Kyrie as the source because like Dallas not changing proves that his impact is not as good as people consider him to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I
for
got
all
you
the
on that.
people that are like, oh, he's right there with Steph for the top 2 guards as far as talent. As
Yeah,
far as impact goes, I'm not sure he's in the top 10.
right.
I
It's a good
mean, to
point.
me, Brunson is now doubling down on the fact that he has more impact on whatever situation he's in.
That's a fact.
And I'm not saying obviously that Brunson is better, but Dinwiddie
Hmm.
had the exact same level of impact that Kyrie's having.
Yeah.
And that's where to me I'm confused. Like, you made this trade, you downgraded defensively, yet you're not changing in any way.
Now the funny thing is, what I was just mentioning, Dinwiddie made them play on both sides of the court because Dinwiddie would just go get any shot.
Mm-hmm.
Dinwiddie would take the mid-range jumper from the left side of the court. He would go left. He'd get to spots that Luka never got to. But now it's like it looks like Kyrie just does literally exactly what Luka does on the court. And to your impact point, and we should have known this, and you and I, as not Kyrie haters, but Kyrie truthers, I should say.
I'm a
We've
certified Kyrie
noticed,
hater. I got
okay,
no problem with that.
we've noticed over the past years, okay, he leaves Cleveland. Cleveland still goes to the finals. He leaves Boston.
They go to the
Boston still
finals.
goes to the Eastern Conference Finals. They went to the Eastern Conference with him. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals without him. Then they went to the finals. Brooklyn got no further than they were first round. They went to the first. Didn't they go to the second round with D'Angelo
Once.
Russell?
No, no, no. They
Yeah,
lost first round.
first round. So they went to the first round.
I think Philly,
Then they went
maybe.
to the
Philly took them out.
yeah, maybe yeah. So I mean, barely any further than that, and he's the guy who comes and is supposed to make a difference and show you
Bro,
have a new season.
like if there's a single shot that's overvalued a player's reputation,
Uh
it's
huh.
Kyrie's game 7 shot on Steph.
If there's a single shot that what? Say it
Like
again.
it overvalued his again.
Oh,
People look at Kyrie as a winning player almost exclusively because of that shot.
yeah, because he's clutch sometimes.
Yeah, like and
Yeah,
he's like obviously he looks good in ISOs and stuff. His skills are like beautiful, but
yeah.
his impact is not as significant as obviously the top 5 to 10 guards in the league.
No, it's not. It's not.
So I worry about Dallas again. They beat Phoenix last year, 7 games, 7 blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
I fully envision that happening whoever they face in the first round.
It'll be 7 blowouts.
Now,
It goes
I'm not
seven
sure
games. It'll be blowouts
if
one way
they
or another.
face, Sacramento, it might be 6 blowouts and they're going home.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Any of the top.
Sacramento is up for that. Like they want to play like that,
Yeah.
and they're better at it.
Yeah. If you're not gonna play defense against Sacramento, you're
You're
gonna lose.
done. You're done.
Also, if you're not gonna play inside against Sacramento, you're just gonna let Sabonis chill in there, get as many rebounds as he wants, get as many blocks as he wants, and score as much as he wants inside. It's a wrap.
Yeah,
You can't beat them.
yeah,
And I'm not a big Sabonis fan, but if there's one thing I know, Sabonis, you have to be active inside. You can't let Sabonis chill
I
on
know.
possessions at all, because he'll use all his energy to
I know.
to dominate everybody.
And like Powell tries, like there'll be occasional stretches where Powell like has a good impact. He's just like
Yeah,
small, and Kleber's just not like really that physical or that skilled.
no, he's not skilled. No, Clever just plays on pure IQ, and
And
it's
and
really not even that crazy.
that win last night, that was you're not facing a coach that dumb in the Western Conference.
No,
To allow 2 star players to score from the same spot over and over again. Who in the West is dumb enough to allow that? I honestly like the more I look back on this game, the more I'm like, Dallas, this is fluke. Like there's nothing positive to really take away from this. We knew Kyrie and Luka could get 40. That doesn't shock anyone.
no, it doesn't.
But the problem is Dallas looks significantly more beatable.
Right, and that's the big thing. And plus, we're talking about Philly, who they beat, who have a lot of guards that are too small to guard Luka and
Yeah.
Kyrie. Um, they're somewhat immature when it comes to like defensive assignments. And when I say that, I mean like Melton's been in the league for a long time. Maxi's not really immature anymore. Not not really, but neither of them have ever been like assigned to the best player on the other team ever. Like not once in their career. So, and Harden obviously is never assigned to the best player in the gym. So it was a bad matchup for Philly, no matter what. Um,
I mean, Philly, look, we'll probably talk about Philly later, so I'll save that. But
there's a lot to say.
that was
Yeah,
just that was a fluke win. That was a loss for both teams, honestly.
I agree.
Just so
And
many
Dallas
bad things.
Dallas really doesn't want to get on the bottom side of the playoff picture in the West. To me,
They I would fight like hell to get out of that play in if I could.
yeah, they get in that plan,
Oh,
and it's
you
going to
don't
take
guard
one game.
anybody. You don't guard anybody. You match up with Anthony Edwards. What's gonna happen if he's feeling it that day?
Yo, if the Jazz are feeling it that day, they're getting them out of here.
Yeah.
The Jazz will just have so much firepower.
The Jazz are the same,
So
like
much.
they're a lesser version of the Kings. They also want to get in the shootout. And maybe they're not better than Dallas, but they're just as good.
You think Sexton's going to let Kyrie and Luka just dance on them all night?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Because
not.
Luka abuses small guards. I don't care how physical, how tough he is, he will get abused.
No, don't get me wrong. Luka's still going to get his, but it's not. It'll be a lot less easy as it is for Harden. Harden
Yeah.
just stands there for 2 seconds. You make a move. All right, you got it. At
Yeah.
least Sexton would be in his jock a little bit, following him around screens, poking him in the stomach, something like that. It
You know what's
always makes it a
weird?
little harder.
I guess another point about Dallas, but like you mentioned, they won the game that Kyrie played without Luka.
Hmm.
Like the way he played, he hasn't really played like that at all
He
with
hasn't
Luka there.
at all. He hasn't at all. He was really playing the two that game.
Yeah. And now it's
Yeah.
like everything is with the ball. And I'm just like, this is why I was so excited when we talked about it after the first game. I'm like, dude, Kyrie's playing exactly like I want him to play with Luka.
Yeah.
And he just stopped all of it.
And this also is another thing that I mentioned this a lot on the pod, but people underestimate how much LeBron plays point on his teams. Like people really believe that Kyrie was playing point guard
Yeah.
on that Cavs team. Kyrie was just he just brought the ball court, handed it to LeBron, and then ran
Got
the play. Like it was
buckets.
never it was no floor generalship from Kyrie with LeBron James. And people always think, oh, LeBron needs a point guard. He had success with Kyrie. But LeBron was always the floor general. He's been the floor general his entire career. And none of his point guards are considered good point guards. Mo Williams,
Oh,
Mario Chalmers, name a good point guard he played with.
and what's crazy is that the previous guys play like Kyrie.
Yeah,
It's not like Luka wasn't playing with Chris Paul and Steve Nash before. He was playing with
yeah,
Jalen Brunson, who's a volume shooter, and Dinwiddie,
yeah,
who's a not as smart of a volume shooter.
yeah,
And they were eating together.
yeah.
So that
And he
that to
got
me is
him
like
same spot every year.
same spot. The same. That's
Yeah.
why to me, I'll be honest with you. If we're doing like an all NBA draft and I need a point guard to win a championship, I'll take Brunson over Kyrie Irving any day. And I know that's a ludicrous hot take
I'm not mad at it.
because
I mean, I mean, I'd say
hypothetically,
Brunson, but this guy is I'd pick over Kyrie for sure.
Donovan's way better than Brunson too, and Brunson was eating him alive last year.
I'd rather have Donovan at the point than have Kyrie at the
100%.
point. And Donovan never actually, they never consider him a point guard, but again, he's floor general all the time.
Yeah.
So we see what it is. But anyway, Dallas, you got to get out that plane, and I do not want to get on that bottom seat. If I'm playing in Memphis the first two games, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
Tough because neither of those guys can check Ja. I mean, maybe they get theirs, but I'd rather, Ja creates for other guys on the team more. He's way more aggressive than they are, so that would be a fun series though, if it did
I,
happen.
I think Dallas will be a fun series, literally every series they play.
Yeah, they
Dallas
will.
will be a fun. I hope they play two playing games if they're in it.
Yeah,
Just because it'll be
yeah.
so exciting and so much firepower.
The play-in should really be competitive this year in the
Oh
West.
man. Oh man.
Yeah, everyone's so close
I
to
wonder
being
if
in the
they'll ever. I
play-in.
know this is kind of wild, but like they could make it a best of three, which would be just crazy. If you really kind of make it like a mini playoff tournament to get in.
Yeah, that would be
It'd be kind of wild because the other teams get like a crazy break at that point, but
yeah.
uh
If they had less games in the regular season, they could do that.
that'd
But
be
you can't
interesting.
add like 4 games to already
Yeah,
80.
yeah.
Yeah. But if they did like the 66 games or whatever they said before was the option, I would definitely do that. That would make sense to me
Mm-hmm.
because less games, less room for error. So you like, yeah, it would make sense to have a more competitive way to get into the playoffs. I still personally really hate that the seventh seed is in the play-in. I feel like if you got to the seventh seed, like you earned it. But it is what it is. They got to do the 3 games, right? Best of is 3 games. Is the bottom
It's
team plays two,
no 7 plays 8 to get in. Winner
right?
gets
And then
in,
10,
and then loser
9 and
gets
10,
another chance.
right, to play the 9 and 10. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2 games really.
Which I really like that. I really like that format.
I do like that too. I do. Okay. Another team in the West, super team that has been created is obviously the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant is a Phoenix Sun. Played his first game against Charlotte. They beat the crap out of Charlotte. Uh, no surprise that they beat Charlotte, but did you get to see any of how
Hmm.
Durant looked with them?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, what is there to say? Like, there was no surprise at all.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't any surprises.
Phoenix
You know the funny
Phoenix
thing?
passes the ball well. That's why KD wanted to go there so bad.
Yeah.
Because
The
he knew
thing
how
is,
fucking easy it would be.
KD is a big is other aside from the fact that he likes to be, on he's always been on a super team. Let's just like be honest. Every team he's been on has been a super team. So aside from that, KD is a lot different from a lot of other superstars because he really isn't a ball dominant player.
Hmm.
Like he can score one on one, but his best the games where he has his biggest explosions and probably the games where he looks more like an all-time great are the games when he is coming off screens and he's playing off ball and he's not taking a lot of dribbles and he's just a knockdown shooter that is the best player on the team. And with Phoenix, that's already what they do with their best player. So it looked like they were just running the same plays that Booker runs, just with
Yep.
Durant running them,
Yep.
or they run the plays that have an option on both sides of the court, and one of them is Booker, one of them's Durant. It's an easy fit. He kind of just becomes another role player that makes a higher percentage of shots than anybody else on the team, and that's probably where he's comfortable, and that's where he probably is most effective. But what do you think this does for the team? Like, how much scarier does that make them? How much
I mean, yeah,
more competitive?
they're toe to toe with Denver for the best team in the conference.
Yeah,
Their only problem is going to be, can their starting lineup not get in foul trouble?
yeah,
Because if they
yeah,
don't
and
have
stay
to, if they
healthy.
could go 7, 8 deep, yeah, obviously. But if they could
Yeah,
go 7, 8 deep throughout the playoffs,
yeah,
what's the excuse? I really don't see it.
yeah. I'm with you.
You know, like this is
Yeah,
a flawless lineup now with KD in it. It was already a really good lineup. It just certain guys were not playing up to standard. KD could pick all that up now. Now it's fine.
yeah. I think that for me is going to be how consistent can the number two on the team be that night, right? Whether it's CP or Booker. People have Booker much higher than CPU. I don't, maybe this year, but I don't consider like Booker that much far behind CP when it comes to being like who would be the second option on this team. I mean, not that far in front of CP. But whether CP or Booker, night in, night out, is that second person going to be consistent enough for Durant to stay in that um, elite role player, accelerated role player spot, or else we kind of get what we had in Brooklyn, where it's like, okay, Kyrie, you're not playing good. Now I got to go play hero ball and try to get 50 every night in the playoffs, and it just doesn't work. It's just there's only been like one or two players ever that have been able to just completely carry their team offensively in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
And
Durant just isn't
he's
that
not
guy.
good
And
enough. No.
he's not good enough. And Phoenix's defense probably won't be good enough because they traded their three best defenders. So that'll be the other thing. If they had the defense, they had Bridges and Crowder and Cam Johnson, then maybe he could get away with that because they'd be able to get stops. But you know, I, Terrence Ross and Josh Okogie guarding the best player on the team, not not rolling with that. And
Again,
Durant
if you're
playing hero
going
ball.
beyond 8 in the playoffs, I'm iffy on who that ninth guy is.
Yeah, that would be their seven, right? Who else they bring in off the
I mean,
bench?
they got to bring a big. They'll probably bring the white dude, number 11.
Jock.
I think so. Yeah.
Jock Landale,
Yeah,
and Torrey Craig too. Torrey Craig's a decent
yeah,
defender, but
he's solid.
yeah, but that's the other thing. Can Booker not shoot bad? Can he take good shots? Can CP stay involved, stay a threat for Durant to not have to go hero mode for them to win? Then they got a shot. But I'm looking at the other Western teams. There's none of those other teams can Durant go hero mode and win 4 games
Yeah,
against. Like it's good teams. So especially you got teams like the Clippers, you know, and I'm only talking about defensively. You got the Pelicans, you got Denver, you got Memphis, you got teams that are not going to let just if it's going to be Durant, it's only going to be Durant. It's not going to be a everyone getting 40 kind of thing.
yeah.
So
You like a team like Sacramento. You're not gonna keep up.
right, exactly, because they're not going to stop scoring at all.
Right.
They're not going to stop. So it will be interesting. I again another team that'll be a fun series, interesting series, no matter who they play. And West is going to be a fun playoff to watch.
If KD's healthy though, if KD and Aiton are healthy,
Yeah,
they're probably coming out of the West.
they got a really really good shot. On paper, they're by far the best team in the West. On
Yes,
paper.
on paper.
Yep. But what if there's a scenario where they CP and Booker play exactly how they did in that Dallas Game 7, and like it's up to
Then
Durant to win the rest of the game?
then the CP curse is so real. Like I got to start believing in the supernatural at this point.
Yeah, yeah, it's possible, but that's the thing. That's what
Man,
scares me about it.
I mean, I still think they can legitimately get outplayed by Denver.
Yeah,
But besides Denver, like I don't picture the 4 games that they get outplayed. You know what I mean? By any other team.
I'll say Denver and Golden State. I still think Golden State outplaying. It
Hmm.
would be a lot, but it's possible.
The
Uh,
Golden State beating KD in the playoffs is just I need that.
you think Draymond
I
Draymond
need
will have
that.
the best series of his life in that series?
I need that.
It'll be the best series he's ever had in his entire career.
Hey,
So that
Poole might go to work too, to be honest.
Poole will go to work. Battle of him and Booker. Poole's gonna get the best of that, and Wiggins will be back. Hopefully, Wiggins will be back. But so Wiggins on Durant. I like that. I like that for Wiggins. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously Durant is going to score more points than Wiggins and give Wiggins buckets, but I like when Wiggins matches up to the best player on the other team. I think he plays his best when he does that. That's what I mean. Not he's not going to outplay Durant, but he rises to occasion when he has to play against somebody that everybody knows is better than him. I think he's just a competitor that way. Who else in the West we got to talk about? Memphis? Anything?
No, they're about what they've, what I expect them to be. They haven't really
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah, they've been about even.
Uh
Um,
we could talk about Portland.
yeah, Portland. 3-7, 3-7 in their last 10. Damian's been averaging 41 points a game in those 10 games,
At the moment, they are
including
under the Los Angeles Lakers in the standings.
half a game under, a game and a half under the play-in, which is the 10th seed. Um, Nurkic has been out. They've had a lot of injuries. Simons just got back this last game. He's been out for a few games. A couple other guys have been kind of in and out. But Nurkic is the only one that's missed like a lot of time. I believe Shaden Sharp has been in and out. They had another wing that was in and out, but so far, I mean, Matisse Thybulle has looked great for them. Cam Reddish has looked great for them. Really, really solid pickups with the trades, but they're both young and they're both role guys, so that neither of them are expected to come and shake up the whole roster. But
How many fucking role players over the years have we looked at in Portland and said, "Oh, he looks good"?
Yeah, a lot.
Everyone.
I
I've said
remember
that about
Mario
Al
Hezonja
Farouk,
even looked good out there
Hezonja, Al Farouk Aminu, Mo Harkless. Where the fuck is Mo Harkless right now?
at home,
At
probably doing a
home,
podcast.
probably. Bro,
Yeah.
they've had so many guys look great. The
Yeah.
problem is, I'll give you a great comparison for them. And I'm not sure why I've seen this team so much this year, but they're the
Hmm.
Chicago of the West.
Yeah.
Now, you
Yeah.
obviously can't
With less
compare
talent.
DeRozan and Levine to Portland. The backcourts
Yeah.
are clearly different. The two best players are different.
Yeah.
And it's,
And Chicago has more talent overall,
yeah,
I would say.
yes.
Yeah.
But the play style is exactly the same.
Yeah, it is.
It's you play like Sacramento, even though your defense is atrocious. You're
Yeah.
not that athletic in the positions you need to be athletic to play fast, like a big man.
Hmm.
Uh, again, your spacing is good enough to take jump shots the entire game.
Hmm.
Like there's no concerted effort. Hey guys, you notice every one of us is driving and kicking out for a jump shot? Like
Yeah.
you got to be able to get layups to consistently win games, especially if your defense sucks.
And the worst part is the only one who gets layups is the shortest guy on the roster and is their best player. That's
Exactly.
that's not gonna work. Yeah.
Exactly. Levine went off the other day. Bro, it was like all off the perimeter. He barely got to the line.
Yeah.
It was all like Kobe Bryant shots.
Yeah. It was nice though, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's super tough.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at like Dame has been just obliterating the league,
Yep.
and it's had no impact.
No, it hasn't.
Why is Jeremy Grant the most athletic wing I might have ever seen in the last 10 years, other than LeBron, and he has
Mhm.
no impact?
I know. And he's taking way more jump shots than he is layups. And he used to
Same
be
as
like a
Levine.
lob threat.
Like, bro, you are such an elite athlete. Why the hell are you taking threes all day?
Anthony Simons won the dunk contest. I haven't seen him dunk since.
Floater, floater, floater. What the hell? Can we get to the
Yeah.
line?
Yeah. Shaden Sharp gets dunks, but that's because he is a freak. But he's
Right.
the only one that goes to the rack with any aggression on the whole roster.
I mean, and it's like an embarrassment on the organization that Nurkic gets hurt and you have Drew Eubanks starting.
Yeah.
How long has he started now?
It's been a while.
It's
Like
been a
probably
while.
2 months, maybe.
And I guarantee you they're going in that locker room at halftime like, let's how do we make the defensive adjustment? You can't make defensive adjustments if you got bums playing big man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even Nurkic is at least average. He's not a
Yeah.
bum. I mean, I'm maybe I think a little differently because I just don't like his decision making. But skill wise, he's obviously not a bum.
Right. Skill wise, he has skills for sure.
Bro, Drew Eubanks? You're kidding.
He's basically just a hack machine.
He's awful.
He started 17 games this year.
Bro, you couldn't go get somebody. Bro, hey, Dwight's in China ready to fucking shoot threes if you need him to.
Dwight's available. Nerlens Noel is available. Like as soon as I heard Nerlens Noel was available, I would have called. Hassan Whiteside is home somewhere, and we still got Eubanks out there. Like
I
and Cauley
really,
Stein just got picked up.
yeah, Rockets gave him a 10-day.
Yeah,
I
Myers
just,
Leonard. Portland was on Portland for most of his career. He got picked up somewhere. The Bucks, I think.
I really can't fathom how you sit there for 17 games you watch Damian Lillard put up historic games and continue to lose and like don't really seem to understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Portland,
Yeah.
again, talk about not changing.
Mm-hmm.
CJ McCollum leaves and they don't change.
Mm-hmm.
They upgrade the fucking roster. They downgrade the roster. They don't do shit with the roster. They just don't change. It's good
Yeah.
spacing. It's a lot of jump shots, and it's no defense.
And the thing is, a lot of the guys, they're another team that the players, I don't see a lot of mixing up of the shots for the players, right? Even if it is a lot of jump shots. Um, Shaden Sharp, like, barely ever takes threes. Barely. Right? He barely ever takes any jump shots at all. He's really just dunks from him. Jeremy Grant only takes long jump shots. He rarely takes mid range. He doesn't get any dunks. Anthony Simon seems like it's only threes or like breakaway layups. Um, Diable's only threes or breakaway layups. It's no, there's no like mix up to anybody's game other than Dame. And that's only because Dame has the best range to ever play basketball. So he's shooting half court shots in layups, but no one else has any variation to the kind of shots that they take. Not only the shots that they get, not even the shots that they take. They don't even go for any other shots. No mid range, no elbow pull ups. Like you said, there's guys who never go to the basket. It is kind of strange.
I'm just really disappointed that they got a new coach, Chauncey Billups. I mean, there's not many guards who know the game better, who played at a better level, and it's like he's
Yeah,
doing the same shit Terry Stotts was doing.
you know, they're playing to me as if like they're waiting for somebody really good to get back from an injury. Like when I see them play, it looks like it
That's sick.
looks
Like
like a
that's
team
just
that's
sick.
you know what you know that look when
Yes.
you watch a team play, like when the Clippers don't have Kawhi and Paul George is out there by himself. It looks like they're just like doing what they can. Somebody's playing out of position, like filling up somebody's spot
Yeah.
because they know somebody's coming. And Portland has no one coming. Like Nurkic is not going to play that much different than Eubanks. He's a lot better, but he's not going to do like a whole lot of different things on the court.
He's another guy,
Um,
great skill, low impact.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. Damian, he's a better man than me
You know what's
because
crazy is I'm because they're so fun to watch. I would love
yeah,
to see them in the play-in,
yeah,
but I think they're the only team other than OKC fighting for a play-in spot that's going to get four zipped. If they get into the playoffs,
yeah,
especially against Denver, they're
yeah.
getting four zipped. Like maybe one game will be close.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
Especially, I mean, Memphis is not going to let them touch a game.
no, no. I mean, it would have to be. It would have to have like Damian getting 60 would be the or 70 would be
Right.
the only way.
Right.
But
Maybe
it's possible,
Dame
but it would have
Dame
to
is
be
such a
Damian having
goat. He might
extraordinary.
steal one,
Yeah,
but it's like it's
that's
a
it.
gentleman's sweep. What the fuck? Like, there's no difference.
Yeah, it would be a gentleman's sweep no matter what. No matter what. Yep. Well, I again, you're right. They are fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. Damian is fun to take over. His like watching his takeover games is more fun to watch than
He's
anyone's takeover
top.
games in the league right now. To
No, no,
be
no, no. There's one definitive name that's better, but maybe
oh
heels too. Donovan.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Donovan
Dominant's takeover games.
is just different, but
It
that's
is
beside the
different.
point.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't
You're
mind
right.
it.
You're right.
Dame is probably second.
Yeah. The only reason why Dames is the only reason he's above everyone else is
Hmm.
because you never know like when he's gonna take it
Yeah,
from
it's
half court.
so nuclear.
Knock knock two of those down and like, oh, it's over for the night. Like we're done. Yeah, but yeah. All right, enough of the West. Let's get to the East.
Yeah.
Or did you have any more in the West? No, right?
No, I mean, Golden State's playing great. We really didn't deep dive them, but uh
They look
like they're
great.
like the modern day San Antonio. If either Splash Brothers in the lineup, they're gonna compete.
Yeah.
And
Oh, he
Clay
looks
playing,
fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah.
Their rotation, good lord, I can't even watch it, but they're playing just awesome. Even the guys that I
You
hate are playing better, like Kuminga.
hate Kuminga?
I just think he hasn't played well, or he hasn't like done anything
Oh,
consistently. And
I got
like
you.
he's actually stepped up a little bit. Like DiVincenzo
Yeah.
has stepped up a little bit. Looney stepped up.
Kuminga is one of those guys that has mixed up his shot attempts and it has worked out for the team so well.
Hmm.
Like now he's taking mid-range pull-ups. He's getting all the way to the rack. If he's wide open for a three, he's taking it. He's getting some floaters. Like he's hook shots. He's doing a little bit of everything, and it
Yeah.
helps the team. It helps the spacing of the team. Makes them move a little bit faster, I think. Um, and Poole really needed this stretch of without Steph and Wiggins, but he really needed this stretch because now him and Clay are starting to have some kind of chemistry.
Hmm.
They're finding each other. Poole is getting to spots better and being choosier with his shots. Yeah, I mean, it looks great.
Clay,
Aiden's gonna be back. Steph's
like
gonna be
Clay
back.
by himself is an easy guy to play with. With Steph, it becomes a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
But just when it's just Clay, like you can just see how easy it is because he's just moving.
Hmm.
That's his biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But Poole will still be six man, so hopefully he'll be coming in for.
There is one other team we got to talk about. I forgot.
Uh, you're right. The LA Clippers. What a
Yeah.
team! What a squad! They are. Uh, what have they done in their last? They're 4-6 in their last 10.
0-3
Nice,
with
but they
Russ,
are
I
on a
think.
four game
0-4
losing
with Russ.
streak. 4 game losing streak for the Clippers. They acquired Russell Westbrook off the buyout market after he was traded around. They also acquired Bones Highland in a trade, and they acquired Mason Plumlee
And Eric
in
Gordon.
and Eric Gordon. Was Plumlee in a trade or did they just pick him up? I don't remember.
I don't know, but that's the best pickup.
Yeah, it is by far the best pickup. Eric Gordon, I know was in the trade for John Wall. So, um, yeah, man, Plumlee has looked fantastic.
I love it.
Like e- elite, like elite games. He came right
Hmm.
in, getting like a career high in rebounds last night, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey,
He's been killing it.
all trash can free throw shooters should be put on notice. Like a drastic change clearly can help guys.
Yeah.
I mean, to shoot up like 20% just by changing hands,
Yep.
I couldn't even imagine. Like I was really impressed when they showed that stat.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is possible, and we've seen guys. Drummond improved his free throw by a lot. Tristan Thompson, I believe he switched hands at one point, improved his free throw shooting. And Plumlee did it, and it's great, man. I mean, people they don't want to foul him all the time now.
Hmm.
87% free throw shooter right this second.
Oh
It's
my
crazy
god,
for
I
the
didn't even see it
Clippers.
was. But I think when Zubac comes back, like they have some genuine full time size.
Yeah.
That to me is probably the only like significant positive we could talk about right now.
Are you starting Zubac or Plumlee?
It honestly doesn't matter to me.
But who would you start?
I would start Plumlee,
Me too. Yeah.
but like I'm not mad if Zubac because Plumlee's likely going to get in early more than Zubac will. Either
I
way,
would let I would start Plumlee and tell him to be more aggressive, use his
hmm,
fouls.
right?
Because when he like actually goes for every block,
Hmm.
like he's a really good shot blocker. He's one of the best bench shot blockers in the league.
Yeah,
And
he's
I
been a
think a
good
lot of
center.
times, Yeah. And I think a lot of times he's afraid of getting in foul trouble, like when the team really needs him. Like Charlotte, he was their really only center on the roster, so him getting in foul trouble was dangerous. But for this team, no, use your fouls. A lot of times we go four guards, and one forward anyway. So just go out there and try to block everything. Um, but yeah, he looks fantastic, fantastic. Um, let's talk about Westbrook. What do you think?
What is there to Ty Lue, what the fuck are you doing? Like, honestly, bro, these last several games, I'm
Mhm.
questioning all the credit I've given Ty Lue.
I never gave Kyrie credit, so I don't have to. But I've been seeing that a lot. A lot of people have been questioning the Tyloo
Listen, Russ,
love.
Russ, like starting him, I think is idiotic, but I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. It's idiotic, and it'll get you set home in the playoffs really early.
Mhm.
Like first round, regardless of who you play early.
They don't really have a point guard on the roster again. They're back to that.
Listen, I can flame Paul George for calling Russ a floor general when when they were trying to get him,
Yeah.
which is just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
I wonder if Russ even looks at himself as a floor general.
But Ty Lue, okay, I can forgive starting Russ and in a month being like, you know what? No. Or in a week being like, you know what? We're 0-7. Like, same shit as the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers started off 0-5, and they were like, you know what, Russ, you gotta help us out here. You suck.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
He's
And
been averaging 4 turnovers a game in the last 4 games with them.
like, did you not learn anything from what the fucking Lakers are doing, Ty Lue?
Yeah.
I can't fathom. Not only are you starting him, I mean, I was raging texting you yesterday. Why would you let him dictate all of your possessions?
Yeah. It's
Like
atrocious.
the dumbest point guard in the league, and you're letting him dictate every shot?
Yeah.
How stupid can you be? I never thought I would say this in my life. Like, please pass Kawhi the basketball a little bit more.
Yeah.
Please run a little more plays for Kawhi to actually touch the ball.
Well, I'll shoot Ty Lue a little bit of bail. I think the problem with playing Westbrook is he has to initiate the offense because he can't shoot well enough to ever be off the ball. I mean, right now, last night he was 0 for 9 on jump shots. He's shooting 28% from three and 50% from two, but that's probably layups and dunks. Um,
Listen, and if you
Him
watch the
off the
game,
ball is even worse. He doesn't cut, he doesn't screen, he doesn't do anything.
I mean, Golden State showed you that any team with a competent defensive game plan will send these guys home in the first round.
Yeah,
I look at Golden State without Stephen Curry will take these guys to 7.
maybe less than 7.
They might win it too.
I'm thinking they would win it. Yeah,
Especially if game
maybe in
seven's in
6
Golden State. Oh God.
with Wiggins.
Oh yeah, it's over. I'm talking about
Yeah,
Golden State
6.
right fucking now, starting bum ass
Oh,
DiVincenzo
oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, 7.
without Iguodala really playing.
Yeah, Iguodala and Wiggins. It goes to 6. Golden State wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
I cannot believe a team like they had problems with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard before, and now they
Yeah,
brought in other problems. And they
Yeah.
decided, on top of starting a guy who is the dumbest point guard in the league, they started a guy, the other guy, who hasn't been on a competitive basketball team in like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time Eric Gordon went up against starters?
I mean, he started for Houston sometimes, but it's
I
not
didn't see
not
it.
in a winning effort.
Right, obviously not.
Yeah, not for wins. He's not a,
I just
a contender
I
starter. No,
can't
not at
believe,
all.
and I can't, and the trifecta of stupidity, because you're starting Russ, which is stupid. You're starting Eric Gordon, which is to me even more stupid.
Hmm.
And you bring in Bones Highland with Terrence Mann. Like, why would that? Why? How did you even think of that as a good idea?
I mentioned to you during the game. I thought that was just a weird
And it
combo.
looked awful.
Yeah.
Like Ty Lue's coaching backwards.
Bones, like I understand he's had a hard time playing Bones, but the roster he has, it shouldn't be that hard. But just Bones is a one man kind of game. You put the shooters out there and you just give him some space. He kind of plays like the more immature version of the Kyrie and Luka kind of game. Just set him
Mm-hmm.
the screen and get out of the way, and he'll figure something out. Like let him just create a play. But when you put him out there and he has to actually run offense, he has to actually pass the ball and get people involved. He was out there with Paul George at one point, and Paul George had the ball. He's not an off the ball like you know
Yeah,
spot
unless
up
it's like
shooter.
Jokic, who's one of the most gifted passers ever,
Yeah, and Jokic actually, I mean, and on
fed
his team,
him the
Jokic
ball,
is the
like
floor
looked to
general. There
get
was
him the
no
ball.
floor general. Yeah, there's no floor general on the court when they don't have a floor general on the team. But there was no floor general on the court with Bones and those other guys. So it kind of threw it on us. Jokic is the floor general for the Nuggets, but he's probably their only one. But Bones out there is just really awkward. It's an awkward rotation they're doing. Westbrook, you know, this year has been a really rough year for Westbrook. Obviously, nobody really wants him. Him and Paul George, I don't really know. Like, I get they're trying to find that spark that they had in OKC that looked really nice, and Paul George is playing the best.
Russ hasn't
Like
been that player in coming up on half a decade.
he hasn't been that player, and there's another player. Like they didn't have a Kawhi on that team, who everyone else thinks is the best player on the team. On that team, Paul George was the best player on the team. It's a completely different dynamic. It doesn't work the same. It's not like a one for one situation. Two completely different situations. So
You know what, man? I think you're discrediting how dumb, or you're not crediting enough to how dumb Russ is. Because it goes beyond the fact that he was
yeah,
0 of 9 from perimeter shots.
okay. Tell me more.
Klay Thompson was attacking him off the dribble.
Yeah.
Listen to what I'm saying. My
Yeah.
basketball fans who know what I'm talking about. Klay Thompson is one of the worst dribbling guards in the league.
He is.
And he was
His best
attacking
games of his career have set
like
records for the least
less
amount
than
of
20
dribbles.
dribbles. Less than 20 total dribbles.
Literally, he sets records for the least amount of dribbles every year.
And he was attacking Russ relentlessly off the dribble. I know you saw it.
Yeah, he was. He was taking Russ baseline almost every time.
Bro, like you can't start a guy like that. I know. Again, I'm giving
Yeah.
you a pass because you really don't have a better out. Like you're not putting Bones out there. That's the disaster.
Right.
But you had the blueprint. Throw in Terrence Mann, give Paul George the ball, and we're fine.
Yeah.
Why, Ty Lue? Why do this? Why create a mad like scientific experiment with this rotation?
Still not sure why they let John Wall go. I'm still kind of off
That's
on
one of
that.
the biggest mysteries of the year.
Yeah, they couldn't figure that out, and it didn't look bad. It never looked bad. So
Again, I don't understand. Like, I never thought they'd go from Kawhi being too much of the centerpiece to Kawhi being like a limited role player again, but he's not even getting the ball.
right.
Again, if you're going to start Russ, you have to find a way to make him a cutter.
Mm-hmm. Have
But
to, and
you just
they're not
feed
doing
him the
that at all.
ball. I get that he
He
has
has to be able to
space,
be. Yeah,
but
he was
Draymond's
a
under
good
the
cutter in
rim.
Houston.
He was.
Good
I've
cutter in
seen him
Houston.
cut on the Lakers, man.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, you just can't. You got to put Terrence Mann back in there. And I think Russ and Bones Highland could play better together, honestly.
I think so too. Yeah,
It won't look pretty, but it's two guys that are ultra aggressive. They're going to look for each other. Again, because I'm sure they're character-wise, they're similar how they attack. Like
yeah.
Terrence Mann looks trash with playing with Bones Highland, and he looked like a perfect role player in the starting lineup, and you just changed that.
Ty Lue's aversion to having a real point guard on the floor has finally come to a head. Like it's finally like showing on the court for everyone else. Like for obviously for me, I've been saying that for the last however long Ty Lue has been coaching basketball. I've been saying. Um, for the Clippers, I've been saying it even louder. And you know, he finally got one this year. Didn't like it, threw it in the trash. Got a new one that isn't helping them at all. And he doesn't even know how to do it. Like I don't know. I don't know how you could play point guard and not know how to maximize your point guard as a coach. I feel like there's been other point guards in the past who literally only knew how to maximize the point guard. Like coaches, like that's literally all they could do was say, "All right, I play point, but I don't know how to do anything but make sure the point guard is a beast," and they do it. But it's not really Tyler's game, and he there's a when I watch the Clippers, I see a level of non-committal to like anything. Like they don't really commit to Paul George being the ball handler. They don't commit to Kawhi being a role, accelerated role player. They don't commit to Kawhi being the go-to guy. They don't commit to a big man. They don't commit to any of the role players. Like Covington got in garbage time last night. A year ago, he was starting. So I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on. It's like every game, it just feels like he's just trying stuff every single game. I felt like this since he's been coaching the Clippers. That's why I made it clear I haven't really been giving him all the credit other people have. I think he was in a really good situation in Cleveland, and that's good for him. But I mean,
You know what's funny to me is you listed off all the things you don't really like the things they don't commit to,
yeah,
and yet they committed to playing Russ as a floor general
so far, so far,
to throw away 4 games. And
yeah,
however many games he continues to try to play that.
yeah. And the thing is, it looks like Ty Lue tells him to do that, and then Wes comes out there, tries it for 2 possessions, and then it's like Paul George, Paul George has to just still run point at the end of the day. Like
Yeah, you
uh,
said it. You
mid
said it. They
second
don't
quarter,
commit.
yeah, mid second quarter, Paul George is back to the point.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, what the blueprint has been there. Like you said, they don't commit to Paul George being the full-time ball handler. Why not?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
what the fuck, Russ, though? What do you mean? You might as well commit to Kawhi at that point. At least Kawhi will get better fucking quality shots. You'll have less
Yeah, no,
turnovers with Kawhi.
because he won't be passing.
Right. Your role players don't know what the fuck is going on anyway with Russ out there.
Yeah,
Evidenced by how confused Bones Highland looks
he looks completely confused.
and
Yeah.
how trash Eric Gordon looks.
Eric Gordon thinks he has Lillard range. He just like takes it from anywhere.
He thinks his
6 feet
Hezzy's
behind the line, he
unstoppable
just
too.
jacks it. Huh?
He thinks his Hezzy's like unstoppable too. It's my guy. Again, it's not 4 years ago.
He has like the basic hezzy you get with your my player, like the
Yeah, the head fake, like super head fake hezzy.
yeah, no VC heads, no VC hezzy.
Oh man, I understand you're
Yeah,
trying to like space the floor with Eric Gordon because Russ can't do it. But again, you can't. The guy who can't space the floor will always get exposed for not being able to do that.
yeah.
Like, there's no scenario where you put a guy out there and hide the fact that he can't shoot,
No, you can't do that.
which the Lakers taught the basketball world. Hey guys, Russell Westbrook's jump shot is really fucking broke.
The thing is, we're talking about two, and this is no disrespect to Ty Lue, even though I kind of just disrespected him. We're talking about two pretty inexperienced coaches. Um, like Ty Lue, you know, Ty Lue's been in situations where he didn't always have all the real decisions on the team.
Right.
At least it didn't seem like that. Maybe he did, but it didn't seem like it. So to me, he's pretty inexperienced when it comes to like what to do with all these guys or how to play all these different ways. And he seems like he really likes to try it and like be like one of the guys that says, "Oh yeah, I did that." But you know, it's not always that easy. And
And
you know,
again,
it's
for what?
showing
For the entire so now this is the what, fourth year PG and Kawhi are gonna go to the playoffs.
probably, yeah.
Maybe even fifth year, I don't even know, but
I think
let's
it's
just say
fifth, yeah.
fifth year. Have they had an identity any of those years,
Yeah, they have.
including
They
this
just had
one?
two really good players. They just had two good players.
I don't trust them to stop anyone.
No.
I mean, Paul George essentially admitted on a podcast the other day that, you know what, we've really tried everything with Jokic. We just can't stop him. Which he ain't
I
fucking
haven't
lying, I
listened.
can tell you that.
Part of me, I haven't listened to it yet. Part of me doesn't want to listen to it because I feel like it would just make me mad at some points.
Well, he's a lot of
Um,
it is him crediting Jokic, but like it was just like an admission of defeat to me.
I don't like him
Because it was
admitting defeat because
the day after he destroyed them.
I don't like him admitting defeat because I think Paul George is better than everyone else does. So it probably will just make me
You might
mad.
think more of Paul George than Paul George does.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's gonna make me mad because I'll be like, oh, I
Yes.
actually thought you were good. I thought you could lead a team to the championship, but because I'm the only one on the planet. There I was thinking it was me and you, Paul, but now maybe I'm the only one in the world that believes that. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I still think the Clippers are dangerous wild card, regardless of
they
where
are.
they're gonna end up.
Yeah,
But I'm not taking them seriously until Russ doesn't start games and Russ doesn't close games. Anywhere in the middle, play him starter minutes if you want.
you could take him starting, but not close.
He
You can't. You
cannot
definitely can't.
close that fucking the Minnesota game it was.
Hmm.
Oh
That
God.
was the first game, I think, right?
Ew. I'm not
First
sure.
televised game, maybe.
Might have been
Yeah, I know what
I
you're talking.
thought the shootout was the first one.
Which one?
The Sacramento 176 double
Oh,
OT. Which
yeah, I
that
think
one,
that
it's
was
like
it.
that game, your team is lights out. You don't even play Russ in the like late in the fourth in the overtimes.
I think he fouled
Games.
out.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure he fouled out. But no, that was the first one, and that one was really bad. But two players again, another team with two players getting 40.
Again,
Anyway, let's
I can't
oh,
trust
go
him
ahead.
to get a stop when Malik Monk can beat them by himself. Okay, I just can't do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Clay Thompson and Poole beat them by themselves yesterday.
And they didn't have their best wing
Little bit
defender.
of Kuminga and Looney help sprinkled in there.
If you're the Clippers and the other team doesn't have their best wing defender, you should never lose a game. To me, they really didn't have anyone. I mean, like Clay plays good defense, but you know they really didn't have somebody to stop Kawhi and Paul George. Like they never should have someone that can stop Kawhi and Paul George. But if Wiggins was there, I'd give it.
How
Wiggins
about
stay with them.
guys? How about we tell that to the floor general over there, who's chucking 0 for fucking 9, has no clue
Yeah,
what he's doing with 4 turnovers. How does he even turn the ball over with that much space?
he was just throwing it into the stands yesterday.
Again, trying to hit a full speed spin move, bro. Every time he tries one of those, it's disgusting.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the East.
But yeah, we got to talk about the East.
Where do you want to start? Let's start with the best team in the East. The New York Knicks are on 9-1 in the last 10. I love it. I love it. The best squad in the East right this second, other than the Bucks, who are like won 17 games in a row or whatever, something crazy. 16 games in a row.
Yeah.
Second best team right now is the Knicks. Um, they acquired Josh Hart, who has looked absolutely fantastic. I would say that Julius Randle is solidifying being the best power forward in the league, best true power forward in the league. Um, and man, I mean, their top 7 right now has just looked fantastic. And they haven't been all the way healthy either, but their top 7 has looked great lately. They play hard, they outplay teams, out effort teams, move the ball well. Guys get shots like where they're supposed to get shots. Unlike most teams, I look at these teams like, man, it's a great shot for him. Every single time down court. I think everyone, Randall takes some kind of wild shots, but everyone else, the shots that they get, I always look and say, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good shot for him. He can make that shot. They can take a lot of high percentage shots for their players. Um, what do you think about the Knicks, man, going into the playoffs so far?
I'm it's really 2 things that have impressed me just a really crazy amount. Is their defenses look awesome.
Yes.
Very in sync. They rotate very well. They communicate well. They have a good feel of like what Utah used to do, where they kind of funnel guys to the big to get more blocks, to kind of dictate the next rotation. And they just like work hard, which is what a lot of teams don't do. Like we're getting to the point where all games are important for seeds and teams aren't taking defense seriously still.
Yeah.
The Knicks have been locked in defensively for the last month, every game I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing, and I was thinking about it the other day, I forgot to tell you, but over the summer I was playing in parks a lot, and so I was talking to a lot of like random people about free agency moves and pickups.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who there's a large portion of the basketball world that laughed at the Knicks for getting Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Donovan didn't pick him. Another year of the Knicks settling for the second or third option of some guy who's not that good, who they paid too much money. No, he's as good as advertised. He looks a little underpaid to me.
Yeah, for what he's doing for the Knicks, yeah, I
And
agree.
it's like, it's not that, it's kind of what I talked about with Kyrie. It's not that he's that good. He's just
Mm-hmm.
one of the highest IQ players in the league as far as his own game goes.
Yeah, he is.
Like he never takes bad shots. He never like can't create a good shot, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
He never settles, even though he's small. He's like
That's what
one
I
of
was
the
gonna
most
say. He really never
physical
settles.
guards in the league. Again, he's small and he's bullying people to to get layups.
Yep.
I honestly can't even really tell you like what about him makes him so hard to check.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, bro, all those people who were like really laughing at the Knicks as if it was like a joke signing,
Yeah.
bro, he's elite.
He is, and I at first I was a little bit, I was thinking about the contract a little bit differently when I first heard about it. I probably would have been considered one of the people that thought it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked around the league and saw some of the other players that got that, I mean, like Simons got the same deal. I'm like, oh, if Simons gets that, Brunson is definitely worth the 100 million or whatever it was. I don't remember the
Yeah.
contract exactly, but I mean, people were getting similar contracts to his. Norman Powell got a huge contract a couple years ago. Like I said, Simons had a contract, and someone else got a huge one this year. And I'm like, well, I expect Brunson to be as good or better than those guys, and he absolutely has been. His impact has been one of the biggest impacts for a free
Yes.
agent the Knicks have had in years.
Years.
He fits right in with the culture.
He's established a better culture.
He's established a better culture. He has, and he's someone like you mentioned. He doesn't settle. I think all those first points you said, the not taking bad shots, the um, creating from nothing, all that stuff is because he doesn't settle. Like he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get to a spot, he doesn't make the defense push him into a spot. If he can't get to the
Yes.
spot, he gives it up and he moves without the ball. He goes and gets open and tries it again. He calls for another screen. I've seen Brunson call for 3 or 4 screens on one possession,
Mm-hmm.
but he's just not going to take a bad shot. Um, yeah, he's looked great, man. He's looked great with Randall. He knows how to play good basketball.
And
He's
you know
a
what's weird
product of
is
Jay
to
Wright.
me, I guess I
Uh,
kind of don't agree, but in a way, like he really doesn't have like chemistry with Randall.
but he doesn't have to.
But
It's
that's
just
I
like,
always kind of considered like they got to be able to, star players got to be able to play together. But he was doing this
yeah.
with Luka. Now he's doing it with Randall. Again, he's such a high IQ player. It's really not chemistry that you need for him to thrive,
I think when I say they play well together, it's they don't get in each other's way. Uh,
which is
And
like
that's,
really impressive to me.
yeah, that's why to me it's big. And part of it is because Randall is so, like, Randall can do so much on the court,
Hmm.
like, and he Randall doesn't get enough credit for this, I guess, because he's in New York. But Randall plays literally every possession, I mean
Hmm.
every position for the team. At one point or another, Randall's taking the most threes. He's bringing the ball up court. He's the best rebounder on the team. You know, uh, he's in the corner hitting corner threes. Like he does everything. So for someone like that to not get in the way of a very ball dominant guard, a small guard, for them to set do pick and rolls, and both of them have their own spaces to work with.
Kind of defies
That's
basketball trends, honestly.
Yeah, it does. It does. It just works because everyone else is so good too. I mean, they find really good spots, good pockets. Thibodeau's doing a fantastic job coaching. I mean, if Mike Brown wasn't on fire with the Kings this year, I
Yeah.
think Thibodeau would probably be next the next pick for me, at least for coach of the year, because
But
he's
again,
done amazing.
this nucleus was mostly the same last year. And I know there's like they were more injured last year. Randall didn't play quite as well last year. But the biggest X factor has been Brunson by far.
Yeah,
And he to me,
yeah,
really, he's not getting enough credit for no, he's probably not even a top 20 talented guard, yet he has top 5 to top 8 impact.
yeah. And I will say, even though the nucleus is mostly the same, they were really, I mean, they're still young, but they were really young. Everyone was young last year. And,
Yeah.
just that year of maturity for Barrett, for Grimes, for Mitchell Robinson. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Maybe not, but for those guys that to get better helped a lot too. But
Quickly too.
Brunson has been a huge impact, huge, huge, huge.
Quickly's another guy who's gotten
Oh,
a little
quickly,
bit better.
yeah, quickly's the other one. Yep, yep. He's getting more, like, his shots don't have to be so spontaneous as they did before. Now, I see quickly actually getting like looks that are for him.
Yeah, and
It
he's
used to be like, oh,
controlling his speed a lot better too.
he is, yeah. It used to come. He used to come in and like it seemed like he had to go look for shots, other people's shots. Like, oh, somebody came out, I need to go make up for them. But now it's like, oh, you have your own space to do your own thing. And
But you know what else I like about the Knicks? They got rid of all the disappointing draft picks.
yeah,
Like,
Thibodeau, man,
get him out of here,
if it's not working, you're out of there, man.
out of there.
I mean, it got to be terrifying to play for him because as soon as you stop playing good, or you have a string of games where you're not fitting in, oh, you're done.
But the results
Fournier
are
done.
there. Like,
Kimba done.
he's to me,
Yeah,
he's one of the few coaches who has the ability to like demand excellence and it actually be taken seriously.
yeah.
And he's built that reputation of just having that identity, even that when the Minnesota teams were limited, he had them playing crazy minutes, busting their ass. Like, he's been this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yep. All right. More about the East. Where you want to go?
So let me ask you this, since you led with best team in the East. The clear-cut two best teams that to me are just Usain Bolt sprinting away from the rest of the conference
Pretty much. Yeah.
is Milwaukee and Boston.
Hmm.
There's really, I mean, 1 and 2, those two teams, I think it's kind of a lock that they're going to be in the conference finals.
Yeah.
Like I think teams could touch Denver. I think teams could touch Phoenix, Memphis, Sacramento. I think they're very beatable by the lesser teams battling for the play-in spots.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. To me, that if outside the top five, it gets murky in the East. Like
So top 5. So
6 to 10.
we're already down to 3. And my question is, if you had to pick a third, who's the third best team in the conference? Legitimately, not
Best,
your favorite.
their best team in the conference, I believe, and
It's
it's
really
not my
hard.
favorite.
It's really hard because
It's not
I
my favorite, but I would take the Knicks. I would. And the only reason why I say that is because I know what I'm getting from the Knicks every night, and I know where everything is coming from. Those other two teams, like I know what I get from Embiid. I have no idea what I get from anyone else on the team.
the
Cleveland, I
problem
know what I
is
get from. Oh, go ahead.
I just think Cleveland and Philly are so much easier to expose.
They are. But I won't say Cleveland is easy to expose, but they have a gaping hole. But not every team exposes a gaping hole as much as I think that they should. But
Yeah.
they do have a gaping hole. But Philly, I mean, it's the rotation is not there. The chemistry isn't quite there. They
Doc
if
just
you don't foul them, if you don't foul them, you have a chance of beating them every night. If you don't get in foul trouble, because all they do is go for fouls for the most part. Embiid and Harden, that's their bread and butter.
and they're not getting those
Take that
calls in
away
the
from
playoffs.
right. If you take that away from them, they have a really hard time. Harden is either there or he's just MIA out there playing for the other team. And when it comes to the Cavs, I trust Mitchell, but I think Garland is still a little bit erratic. Uh,
More than a little.
yeah, he's still erratic. He still dribbles too much. He doesn't really take a lot of good shots. He gets some good shots, but they still get into this place where I don't think they trust Donovan nearly as much as they should. Whereas, like, and we've mentioned this a lot of times, Donovan doesn't get the ball. They don't try to get Donovan open. They just say, "All right, let's Garland, this is your possession. You just do what you got to do." He's just not that good to do that. And no disrespect to him at all. He's a really good player. He's an all-star, but he's just not the kind of guy that is your number two, like just go get a bucket kind of guy. Not to me, at least. Mobley looks younger. Looks like he gets younger every game that I see him for some reason. I thought he was going to get better and better and more mature, but he gets like not even that good of guys that are mature players expose him. Like Deadman goes out there and like hits a veteran move on Mobley, makes Mobley look like a rookie in the NBA. I know what I'm getting from Jared Allen every night. He's gonna block shots, but they can't really get Jared Allen involved on offense as much as I think he needs
And
to be.
and this is you're leading into my point perfectly because I've watched full Cleveland games maybe like 7 or 8 times this year, and I don't
Yeah,
understand why. Okay, they clearly don't have a wing, like a championship level wing.
right.
But to your point, Garland, Donovan, Mobley, and Allen. Now, Donovan is
Starting
so
five.
explosive that I haven't seen him struggle. But one of those three other guys always finds a way to not be involved.
Yes.
And I understand Mobley
Always.
because he's young, like you said, very inexperienced. His IQ isn't really getting better. His skills aren't really developing as fast as maybe we thought.
Yeah, and one thing about Mobley, Mobley has to pick as a young player to me in this stage of his career, he's gonna have to pick whether he's gonna be like an offensive impact player or a defensive impact player. Like he's like kind of having a C plus in both. Like he needs to graduate one of them to be like involved all the time as a defender or involved all the time as an offensive player. And right now, he's not really. He's like straddling. Like one game he's good on offense, the next game he's good on defense, the next game he's good on offense. They either need both every night or one like great every night,
Yeah.
and he doesn't do great at either one.
And defense is
Consistently.
the easy like option to pick
Yeah, it is.
because he's
But
on a
then
contender.
right. And and it would be easier if they did have a small forward on the team. Thing is, even the guys that come in and play small forward for them are not really small forwards. Like
No,
Levert's not a small forward.
no.
He's a good wing, but he's not a small forward. Okoro Stevens, I think, is shorter than Donovan Mitchell, and they put him at the three. And I mentioned this for those who've been listening to us for a long time. I went down the line of the Eastern Conference teams. All of them have a good small forward except for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So um, for that, I mean, I'm the Knicks. I'd say the Knicks is the third best team. I just think they have a lot of firepower. They have really good depth. The guys that they put out there go and play hard. They will play harder than every team in the East. Even the top two teams, the Knicks will play harder. They may
Yeah.
not have as much talent, but I know one thing for a fact: the Knicks are going to go out there and play harder than everybody. There's too many ifs on the other two teams, and I love
Yeah.
Cleveland. I've mentioned Cleveland since the beginning. I
I
really
think
like them.
Donovan plays harder than New York does, but just Donovan.
Exactly. Yeah, just Donovan.
And I mean, I told you this. I really pray that Cleveland doesn't play New York because if Brunson cooks him again, it's going to be a bad offseason.
Uh, I'll say I'll say this: if Brunson cooks, it won't be cooking him because Donovan will probably have a ridiculous scoring numbers in that series, and no one else will. So it probably will fall on Donovan's shoulders because he's driving the bus, as Barkley would say. But it won't. Real basketball players would know that the team just isn't. This doesn't
I
have
don't
enough.
know. Donovan likes to take the assignment for better or worse.
But if he guards Brunson, no, Garland can't guard anybody. I know
And
that sounds crazy, but
and I was talking about it earlier. Like that's kind of my thing with Cleveland going into the playoffs. Mobley, young, we don't really know what kind of player he is yet. There's no excuse for Allen and Garland though. Like
no, it's not
This Boston game, Allen was invisible.
invisible.
And that to me is because you're putting Garland up top. You're not even running pick and rolls with Allen. You're running them with Mobley.
Hmm.
Like why would you not get Allen involved? And why do you just feed Garland the ball when he's turning more and more into an over dribbling guard?
I don't understand. I don't know.
So that to me,
Donovan is
like,
the only guy who gets everyone involved every night.
yeah.
Yeah,
And to me, like, you have to kind of figure out a way for that to be your top three players.
right now.
And
Yeah.
it has to be like when we step on the court, it's Donovan, and then it's Garland and Allen, whoever is eating that day.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying like they have to be all stars, but Allen should never. Allen is way too good of a center to be invisible.
Yeah, he is. He's way too athletic to be invisible. I
Yeah,
mean,
and he had
aside from
no
skill,
impact.
he's yeah. Aside from skill, he's too big. He jumps too high. He's too strong to not do something on the offensive end all the time.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, who would you say?
I just I trust Donovan's cape
Yeah,
a tiny
for the
bit
Cavs.
more than I trust the Knicks' slight lack of firepower.
Okay, it's fair. It's fair, and I probably do too. It's just I don't trust anyone else on the Cavs. And Garland actually makes me like physically ill watching him
That's why,
when he's
like,
bad.
to me, New York at their best gets Cleveland out in 5.
Hmm.
Cleveland at their best maybe wins game 7. Maybe.
Against the Knicks,
Yeah.
Cleveland at their best can't beat the Knicks.
I mean, I'm assuming both teams are at their best, but
Oh, I got you. I got you. Ah,
I just I think to me it's 6 or 7 for Cleveland, like no matter how good they play.
I got you. That's
To your
fair.
point, it's because of the other doubts.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
man, that Boston game. Again, I already saw the lack of a wing, but it was just like, I mean, you literally like Jason Tatum, please get out of your slump on our watch. Oh, no problem. Layups and ones with touch fouls, easy jumpers. I got you guys. No problem.
Funny thing is, they beat Boston twice this year,
I know.
and both games
Much
looked pretty
earlier.
easy. Yeah, and both games looked pretty easy for the Cavs. But at this point, it
Didn't
just
they
looked
go to
like they said, "Look,
overtime?
man. Yeah, I think one of them did.
I thought
Yeah,
they didn't both go to overtime.
maybe they did. Yeah, but I mean
I don't
that when
remember,
I say
but
it looked easy, it doesn't mean it was a blowout. But like
mhm.
when they won, it was it was a good win for them. It didn't look like they were. One of them did go to overtime, but it never really looked like Boston was playing well. You know what I mean? They were
Yeah.
just like staying in the game.
Hmm.
And, and I don't remember exactly how the other one went, but this game is just like it just looked like they looked at out there and said, "Yo, who can guard you out there, Jason?" And he just realized no one could, so he just went at it every
I
time.
mean, Okoro like held up. The weak link was fucking like Levert is 6'9".
Yeah.
He could at least try. Like as soon as Levert with Okoro, they're at least forcing Tatum into uncomfortable shots. They're forcing him to
Yeah.
settle. I mean, as soon as Levert checks in, Tatum is not even really like attacking and getting anything he wants.
Hmm.
And you're not touching Boston if you're letting Tatum get anything he wants.
Yeah. And I'll say this too: since those first two games, the rotation is completely different for the Cavs, and that kind of um I shouldn't say worries me because I don't really care that much, but that makes me think differently about how the Cavs will look in the playoffs. I mentioned when we were talking during the game, Teddy Osmond was more of a defensive assignment because he's a lot stronger than Okoro. He's bigger. He's a better spot up shooter. When Okoro got it in the corner, they didn't even run out there. They didn't even
No,
look out there. They just were looking to see the rebound
and he
because they knew it
bricked
was
it.
going to be a miss. And I'm not saying Chetty Osman is a championship starter, but there's just certain things that when they had Love was different. They just had more weapons around the perimeter. They had stronger guys. They had guys that played a little bit harder than who they play now. And Dean Wade, he's cool, but he's
I
streaky.
mean, you talk about stronger guys. Why the fuck is Robin Lopez laying there in front of the bench the whole game and ready to go?
He was there. He was literally laying there the
Laying
whole
there.
game.
I'm assuming because they ran out of seats or some shit, or maybe they didn't want to get stiff sitting the whole
Yeah.
time.
And at one point, they went small and had like Mobley out there at center and had no one guarding Horford.
Who
Horford
the
lit them
fuck?
up
Again, like we get back to coaching, JB. Why the fuck would you go small against these guys?
against the biggest team in the East.
Against by far the best perimeter defensive team in basketball, a team that has like 9 matchup guys,
Yeah.
and you're playing
They,
small, even though you're gigantic.
I mean, they can put a lineup out there of all 6'7" and above.
Goes to show Cleveland is it's much more trash that Cleveland couldn't find a way to make Markkanen a good player.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he had some moments, but they couldn't keep it
Barely.
consistent. Yeah. It's just, to me, the most trash thing, and I mentioned this on multiple occasions. I don't think I did on the pod really. Them not getting a small forward and maybe arguably the best small forward trade deadline I think I've ever seen is just crazy. Like I said, Brooklyn got three,
Dude,
and then
the
Crowder,
Clippers
which
got everyone they needed and don't even know how to fucking use them. But at
right
least they got the pieces they needed.
the one piece that the Cavs needed. I feel like every team got one except for them.
I mean, if they got OG Anunoby, we'd be talking about the top 3. Who's the 4th best team?
Yeah, we good
Like
on the top three.
easily.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And they
bro. If
did
they
nothing, bro. They did nothing.
again, the Nets got three, Milwaukee got two. You look
Milwaukee,
around,
Milwaukee hasn't
Chicago got
lost a
some.
game in a month, and they're fucking adding pieces.
Yes,
Come on, look, owners, wake up, Cleveland. What the fuck?
Phoenix got two small forwards. The best in the league. They got Terrence Ross. I mean, you could get there was guys who aren't like great players they could have got to fill in that space, but I just don't know. I don't know why they did nothing except for lose Kevin Love. They didn't even trade Love for somebody. They just lost him, which is crazy.
Yeah,
But
I feel like they're setting up. I don't know if they could keep up with a team that defends well. Because
I
Cleveland
don't
gets
think so.
they get extremely stagnant. And I love Donovan, but I don't see him beating really anybody 4 times if they're stagnant the whole time.
I think the only team they probably could beat in the top in the teams we're talking about is probably Philly. That's the only team I think they really have a shot. All these other teams, it's just
That's
they
because
just don't have enough.
Philly is the only one that's like even things they did well earlier in the season seem to be problems now.
Yeah, they just win games purely on having
Some good
arguably the
talent.
most dominant player in the league.
Yeah, that too.
One of the most dominant players in the league. That's basically all they went off.
Yeah, Philly over the
They haven't
last
used their
month
depth
has like
at
regressed
all.
in every way.
Yeah, they haven't used their depth at all. Is Daniel House, is he healthy?
I guess I'm assuming so.
Korkmaz, I mean, he hasn't played all year, so you know
Doc
the
is
bench is
so
like down to 7 guys, maybe 8, maybe a night, and it's just
Niang doesn't miss a fucking minute.
nah. Niang gets his minutes. He gets his money's worth for
The
sure.
fuck, Doc? What are we doing? How did you find? I thought one of the best sleeper pickups was Melton, especially
Yeah,
when Maxey went down. He stepped in as a starter and was like an easy fit.
Yeah.
How did you find a way to make him look trash? He can barely get 5 shots.
You think Milton should be a starter though?
I honestly don't even know because they're so stagnant. Their spacing is so awful. A lot of times I think I mentioned this before. He plays well in spite of their awful offense.
Yeah, he does.
Like, bro, if I kick it out to you and you shoot a Lillard range 3 that's contested and make it, like, that's a great shot, but we're not sustaining that.
Right.
And I've been more impressed with Melton that he's got really good range. He could be a consistent shooter even without rhythm, which is a really hard skill to have.
Yeah.
And they find a way to make him look bad.
You know what is strange to me throughout the whole league? Um, the best teams, like let's use the teams we mentioned: the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nuggets, and let's use the Warriors, right? Because they went to the finals.
Yeah.
None of those teams start like more than one 6'2" player on the team. Like never. Like Grayson Allen isn't like overly tall, but Drew Holiday is a big guard. Boston Smart is probably the strongest guard in the NBA.
And
So
he's
I mean,
6'3", I think.
right, he's 6'3", but there's no one stronger than Smart. So he doesn't. He's a different story. But no one else is under 6'9" in the starting five. In the starting five.
Yeah.
Um, and the Nuggets. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. is like a center height, playing the 3, playing the 2,
He's been eating,
whatever.
by the way.
He's played
Shout out
fantastic.
to Porter Jr. He's been lights out.
He's played fantastic. Bruce Brown plays power forward at 6'6", 6'5", whatever. But he's another one, super strong, super athletic. Like these lineups that Doc puts out there with Harden, Maxey, Melton, Shake, all these guys, like all these guards in at the same time, and then just Embiid or just Tobias and Embiid. Tobias is an undersized power forward. I just don't. This undersized ball is not the wave right now. It's just not.
I think of every team that's fighting or in the playoffs right now,
Mm-hmm.
Doc has been the worst coach since the All-Star break of all those teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't count Jacques Vaughn. He was pretty bad. No,
You got me. You got me
his
there.
team's not as
I'll
good.
give you Jacques Vaughn because
His team's not as good though.
we both thought they would keep pace and they've just been losing.
Yeah, they may be out of the whole play in a little
So
while.
I'll give you Jacques Vaughn. Okay, you can have that. But besides Jacques Vaughn,
yeah, Doc has been the worst. Yeah,
Doc, you've blown more leads than any coach in history in the playoffs. How do you still not make adjustments? How do you live with yourself not making any adjustments ever, thinking, oh, it's a make or miss league? Yeah, if you're a fucking trash coach, Doc.
and he lets Blake Griffin troll him by saying that. Like, no one is gonna. I'm not gonna let anyone like expose me like that by saying, "Oh yeah, he doesn't make adjustments. That's his thing,
He's
isn't it?"
proven Blake right.
Exactly. That's the thing. I would never prove someone right after someone tried to expose me like that. I would do the complete opposite. I would put in a whole another 5 every second half just to prove Blake wrong. Like, I do make adjustments. See, even if they lost every game, I would do something to make sure Blake wasn't right about that.
And
Blake,
Doc does none of that.
he didn't even adjust to. He didn't even adjust to Blake shading him.
Like, Doc, you just sitting there clapping your fucking hands. I'm sick of it. I asked you who the third best team in the conference is. My problem is the answer should be Philadelphia by far.
And we were between the Knicks and the Cavs.
We were between the Knicks and the fucking Cavs, like, easily.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
I've complained about them like all year. I've also watched them more than any team besides the Wizards for some reason because they're on TV all the time.
Bro, I feel like their last 5 games have been on TV too, like every game.
And
They're
Doc,
on tonight, I think.
Doc is on national TV just clapping his fucking hands. Doc, change your rotation. Tell Harden to move without the fucking ball once in a while, like anything differently.
Yeah.
Bro, we cried about Tobias Harris starting off scoring 10 points in the first quarter and getting 3 shots the rest of the game. And that still
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Feels like it's their game plan at this point.
That's what I'm saying. Niang
Yeah.
gets cooked. You don't sub him the fuck out. Montrezl got cooked. He doesn't play anymore.
Hmm.
Where's the logic, Doc? Niang also doesn't rebound nearly as well as Montrezl. Niang also shoots everything, even though he shot the ball well. Like,
Yeah.
that's an adjustment, Doc. Sometimes you need a shooter, sometimes you need a rebounder.
Yeah.
Again, Niang is just cracking I'm good enough to be in an NBA rotation level player.
Hmm.
And you trust him more than Montrezl. You trust him more than Tyrese Maxey, who was a borderline all-star last year. You trust him more than Melton, who's clearly the highest IQ guard on the team. And of course, Harden just fucking does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Embiid does whatever the fuck he wants. You notice the Miami game they lost with at full strength. They start off the game getting cooked on the offensive glass.
Yep.
How do you Phoenix? We consider Phoenix soft. I've never once seen Ayton out there to start a game and they get cooked in the offensive glass.
Never.
And yet, no matter how dominant Embiid is, and you talked about it, how he might be one of the most unstoppable players ever,
Yeah.
he gives up a lot of fucking offensive rebounds to bums.
He does.
Which is just sick.
And it's not even like he's really not, that's like probably his worst as far as skill, he's not a skilled rebounder for the kind of player he is for his center.
I
It's kind
know.
of crazy. He's not a skilled rebounder at all. He doesn't swim. He doesn't box out that well. He just like uses his height, and that skilled rebounders don't do that.
In which, to me, we've talked about Jokic and Embiid, kind of who's better. Like, rebounding is really not a distinct advantage for Embiid. It might not even be an advantage.
No, they're probably even on rebounding.
Because yeah, Jokic, for as many athletic offensive rebounds that Embiid gets, Jokic gets the tap outs just as well.
Yeah, and Jokic cheats his rebounds sometimes because he'll get his own rebounds.
Right. And
Like,
he's a strangely quick, Paul George made the point, he's a strangely quick second jumper.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't fucking get off the ground much, but he'll get back up for some reason, like really quickly.
He does. Yeah, he does have a nice pogo jump. And a lot of times he'll hold you with one arm and tap the ball, tap it up, try to tap it in. He misses it. He'll have to tap it in again. He
Then all of a
misses
sudden,
it.
scoop it, layup.
Yeah, he'll get 3 rebounds off his own little taps, missed taps.
Yeah, him and Sabonis are really good at like tapping the ball. I don't know what it is with hands or whatever, but
yeah.
Back to Philly though, man, like there's no identity. The rotation has gotten worse.
Yes.
Doc,
Rotation's really bad.
Doc, how? You were winning games because everyone was playing earlier this year. They literally had a stretch where they won like 7, 8 in a row. Thibault was playing. Korkmaz was playing. Shake Milton was playing. Where the fuck are these guys at? I mean, I know Thibault's gone, which now you can't guard anyone. What the fuck?
Yeah. He's got Milton playing the 3.
Like you said, bro, the nail in the coffin is playing Maxey, Melton, and Harden in the same lineup to me.
Yeah.
That is dumber than anything I
terrible.
talked about with Ty Lue.
It is. It is.
So bad, bro. Tobias is 6'10". Can he get a post up on a guard, please? Please, Embiid like has the license to every post up on the team.
Yeah, he does
Montrezl,
basically.
even when Montrezl checks in for his 2 minutes, he can't take advantage of a fucking mismatch because apparently he can't back down anyone anymore.
Montrezl not playing is so bizarre to me. I just don't understand why he doesn't play at all.
But Niang is
I,
always out there. I don't understand.
yeah. Then the McDaniels, who I think like he's built to be the token starter wing to
Yeah.
me, like just like his brother is. Doesn't really use him. He uses him as like a breather spark plug guy, only for him to come in there and get 4 fouls in 10 seconds or whatever he did last night. A minute and a half, 4 fouls, 2 offensive fouls. It was 3 possessions, 4 fouls he got the other night. I just don't understand. Like Doc, I know that's on him to get the fouls, but Doc, make do something. Call a timeout. Get him out of the
Reggie
game after the third foul, so he doesn't get the
Reggie
foot.
Miller is calling out the shots before they're getting taken, and you don't see it, Doc. Bro,
Bro,
Dallas is
that
one of the
was
most predictable teams in basketball. And Doc made it seem like they're like the Warriors 2.0.
yeah. Did you get to hear Reggie doing that?
A
Here comes the
little
step
bit,
back.
yeah.
Here comes the floater. Here comes the right hand layup. And it was just they would just do exactly what Reggie was saying. And like, how come he can see it? Doc, you can't see it? We've been seeing it all season, exactly what Luka does every time down court. If he goes left, it's just step back. If he goes right, he's going straight to the basket. If you stop him, he's kicking it to the left corner. And it happens over and over and over and over again. And
I
Doc, I
just
mean, he has the team to play that team. Like that would be that. I know I said it's a bad matchup for Philly, but it shouldn't be. But it was because of how Doc plays them.
yeah. And I just think
Yeah,
a major problem beyond Doc's just what the fuck are you doing coaching is Embiid and Harden are horrible leaders.
yeah.
Embiid's body language sucks. He's always crying to the refs. Again, he
They really
gives up
just aren't
rebounds
leaders
to
at all.
bums.
They really just aren't leaders at all. They're not even horrible leaders. They're just not
They're
leaders.
just
Not
not.
even. Yeah,
And it's like I
yeah,
hope Harden understands if they get a spanked in the playoffs again, like he's a loser. Like these are
yeah.
Harden's
It's pretty
last
bad.
years, these last playoff runs he's got, however many years he's going to play. He has to change the narrative and compete.
He does.
And he's still, bro, he still just disappears. He just stands around. He just throws guys the ball and says, "You go do shit."
My thing for Doc. Doc is a good dude. I don't think he's necessarily a terrible coach. I think he knows the game pretty well. But the leader of men part to coaching at a professional level, Doc is just not. He's just not there.
But he's
He's
like,
not.
he's close. Well, he seems to be regressing, but at his kind of best, he had like a level because I thought his best was the early Clippers with Pat Bev and Montrezl and Lou Will with Tobias when they didn't
Yeah,
really have a star and they challenged the Warriors in I think it was the first round.
yeah.
Like he could lead. I think he could do what Mike Brown has done with Sacramento.
I agree with that.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? So like a young team, I think Doc is perfect for. Up to a
Hmm.
certain point, Doc is a perfect coach. But
Yeah. Well, once you get into guys who have a little bit of power on the team, a little bit of influence on the team, that's when Doc is washed.
he
That's when he's
can't.
done.
He just can't. He
Because you look at okay,
he lets too much shit slide. He can't hold people accountable. And he just sits there like this, bro. I can't stomach it. What
the best
coach
thing,
claps their hands when the team plays like garbage?
the best, the best teams he's had have all broken up because of personality issues. It's all been off the court problems. The Clippers, Blake is knocking out assistant managers. Um, uh, CP and Austin Rivers are getting in fights. CP is fighting with Doc because of how he's treating Austin Rivers. JJ's in on it too, and all that's carrying on. Let's go back to the Celtics. Rondo hates everybody. They don't. Ray Allen doesn't like anybody. Um, Garnett is talking trash to them. Rondo fights one of them. It's like all this stuff happens under Doc's watch. I just don't understand. It doesn't happen on any other team. I don't know another team that I can pinpoint like all a bunch of off the court problems that they've had, other than every good team Doc has had,
I'll
including
give
this
you,
one.
like, to me, the
Then
adjustment for Doc, and I obviously think it's too late because he is who he is at this point.
yeah,
But I think like the adjustment that Golden State made from Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr,
hmm
like that character adjustment that I'm not really even sure Mark Jackson didn't have because we haven't seen him since.
yeah,
But like Steve is better at being able to kind of know when to settle things, know when to heat it up, know when to push the team. Like Doc, as you get to the championship level,
hmm
Doc just loses his voice,
yeah,
which is I really don't understand where that disconnect comes. I honestly, if I had to guess, it comes from the fact that he doesn't make adjustments.
yeah,
I think Paul George kind of exposed him earlier, talking about we just did the same shit. We didn't really do anything differently. Remember on all the smoke?
yeah,
We just
yeah,
kind of stuck with what we were doing. Never really, oh, they're coming back again. Like maybe we should change it up. Never had that. Like
right,
players are looking at Doc when they're competing for a championship. Like you got to help us make the final step.
right,
And I think it's been too many fucking years he hasn't helped all these guys. And to your point,
yeah,
it's eventually imploded everywhere.
yeah,
Ben
yeah,
Simmons too. Don't forget that.
yeah. I was gonna say the Ben Simmons situation has
Ben
been a disaster.
Simmons. I mean, a lot of it is his fault, but Doc essentially initiated his destruction as a basketball player.
I think so little of it is Ben's fault. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ben, with the one layup thing, that's not the first time, nor will it be the last time someone's passed up an easy shot. So, I mean, is that really worth talking about after the game?
Golden State does that shit like almost every other chance they get.
Bro, Looney, do you know how many easy layups Looney passes out?
Looney
Like
could average
dunks.
like real starter stats if he actually looked at the rim all the time.
Yeah. And, so it just happens. And is it worth talking about after the game as a coach? Of course not. And all the times that we saw Ben Simmons without Embiid look like top five player that's ever played. Sometimes with his aggression, when Embiid is hurt, Ben Simmons come out there, headband Ben Simmons, had that streak of games, he was elite. And then he comes back, Embiid comes back, and like Doc forgets that Ben played that good before. And now he's like, yo, Ben, just give it up. And that this Embiid against five guys again. It's just like he doesn't adjust to how personalities change. He doesn't adjust to how guys get better over time. Um, I agree. I think it is they look for him to help and he's not there. And probably the guys who come up with something creative to do are the guys on the team. And a lot of times it's guys who probably don't know basketball better than Doc.
I know. I just like, how
So
can you say it's a make or miss league, Doc? Like that's what casuals say.
that's what Rachel Nichols said.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying, Doc. Are you kidding me? Like, there's few coaches who had the length of tenure just as a coach that you've had. Again, he just shocks me. It's like every time I watch Philly, I'm like, how can they do this? How can they do that? Why are they? Who suggests this? Why don't they stop doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Embiid and Harden are gonna get all the fucking blame when they look bad in the playoffs.
I don't think so. I
Because
think this is
I'll
it
tell
for
you
Doc.
now, if Harden is standing around and Doc is bringing him in the timeouts like this, I'm blowing up your phone.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Like, bro,
Like I
I
guarantee.
know Sam Cassell is telling that guy, like, yo, like, let's get a cut. Let's actually come off the pick and roll and attack. Let's actually
Yeah.
get the mismatch. Like, let's swing it a little earlier. I don't see Doc ever doing that.
I
And maybe Harden is not as easy to coach as he could be, but like, still, if anybody should be able to talk to him, it's Doc.
agree. And he has a amazing coaching staff with Cassell, who's had plenty of years. Dave Yeager has had a lot of years of experience as a head coach. But I think it's dangerous even coming in like to try to get Doc's job. Like if I'm his assistant, I don't even think I would want to stay his assistant. I'd want to go be another assistant before I even went for a head coaching job because if you're walking into a team that he just had, it's still like it's a. I look through the years of teams that try to recover after him, and it's always this long period of adjustment of, like you said, of voice. It's just a long period of trying to figure out, okay, well, who's got the ideas on this team, who's coming up with things for this team, and it's tough. I think it would be really tough, especially if I was there with Doc to come into that. So I do think this is Doc's last year with them, though. Either way, they're not going to
I mean,
win
unless
the
they,
championship, but
yeah, make a miracle run, which I don't think anybody sees coming, but
they're one of the few teams that it's going to matter how they lose
it's
too.
just like, even, bro, even with the Lob City Clippers that he failed with,
Hmm.
like, there would be these. I remember he would be so elite coming out of timeouts, and they would run a really good play.
Yeah, JJ would get like a wide open shot
Yeah, bro.
off
Or
the
they'd get
timeouts.
like Matt Barnes, a great look. They used to try a bunch of guys at the three
Yeah,
at this time. But
yeah,
you'd get a Blake, a nice curl. Maybe DeAndre gets like a nice baseline lob. You go high low with Blake. Like, it would be something like, okay, we just got stagnant. We need like a little spark to just get a good shot.
yeah,
Like, commentators used to point out, like, shout out to Doc essentially for coming out of a timeout and getting like an easy layup.
yeah,
And you look at them now, bro. They come out of timeout and it's Embiid post up. Really?
yeah,
A TV timeout that's like 3.5 minutes long, and you couldn't
yeah.
run a fucking play other than an Embiid post up?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like they're not even trying. They're a
Yeah.
team, to
I
your
mean,
point, they kind of play like they think they could turn it on.
they do,
And they could not be further from the truth.
especially not against the other East teams,
And
like the
with
teams
their
that we
defense
mentioned.
looking more and more suspect every month.
They better hope they don't get the Heat in the first round.
I know. By the way, the one time they've looked good the last week without Embiid,
Yeah.
they destroy Miami.
Yep.
I'm not saying there's any significance to it, but just saying maybe the ball did move better.
Yeah. And it's on the coach to, when the player comes back, to say, "Hey, we like what we did this last game. We got to figure out how to fit you into that, not
Bro, I
fit
mean,
that into you."
I cried in the Atlanta series. Forget Ben Simmons, Doc. You can't play Embiid 40 fucking minutes.
Hmm.
And he's still, bro, again, Montrezl checks in for a minute and a half. Even Niang, who he loves, doesn't really get to stay in long. I mean, Reed, you still don't want to play Reed for some reason.
I know. I don't get it. Reed looks good to me.
How did you allow DeAndre Jordan to go out there and fucking be horrible? But Reed is like, something's wrong there. I don't
Yeah.
understand, bro. I don't understand why Philly looks exactly the same, even though their depth got better. They look worse. They don't even look the same. At least Dallas looks the same. Philly looks worse,
They look worse
which is
after the
bizarre.
depth got better.
For that level of talent to get worse, I don't know who else to look at but Doc.
What did they get for Thibault? Nothing.
Clearly not. Nothing of significance at this point.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Thibault all of a sudden can shoot on
Right.
a team with
And Doc made it seem
space.
like,
All of a sudden, on a team with space, he's knocking him down. But with fucking Philly, when you get one shot a quarter, I would
oh,
brick that
Jalen
shit
McDaniels.
too. Hmm.
Yeah, they got Jalen McDaniels for him.
Hmm.
I forgot why. I forgot how Jalen McDaniels even got there. It was in that trade. But
Again,
no,
you got a
you're right.
defensive player. Your defense is still getting worse. I
And the thing is, you trade a starter and you get somebody that you barely ever play. Like you're supposed to. All right, I trade a starter. Now I got someone that I feel like is can get some starter time. But Jalen McDaniels barely plays.
I just hate having all these questions and like, I mean, honestly, I don't have a better response than what the fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I think Philly is good enough to be even the second best team in the conference, but
Stop it.
they don't play that well. And I do think I mentioned earlier, I do think they could beat one of the top two teams in a 7 game series. I think it's possible, but it all depends on what kind of players, how the players come in that one, what kind of Harden you get that day, what kind of Melton you get, how much minutes Korkmaz and Nguyen gets, like that kind of stuff all matters. But it'll be up to coach there. So
They're not better than Boston. There's no at their peak, at the Mount Everest peak, they're not better than Boston.
they're not better than Milwaukee. Not even close.
Yeah, but you said they could potentially be the second best, or they could potentially be the second best team.
No, no, no. They could be. I mean, like as far as contending, I think they're good enough to beat either of them in a series, maybe. But they're
I don't
not
see it.
better. I don't think they're better. I think they could beat them, but not with Doc.
No.
Not to
And
me.
I'm very excited to see who they get next. Because I know there's going to be some drama with, Embiid in the future. I mean, a lot of that is going to depend on how he plays.
Oh, you mean after the season?
Yeah.
Who they get at coach?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I think, a voice that guys will respond to, a coach that actually changes things up, like a Frank Vogel. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be like the most elite name out there.
yeah,
Just the guy who's involved in the fucking game. To be honest
yeah,
with you, Doc only really stands up these days to bitch at the fucking refs.
yeah. He's
Tell me
got his
I'm
hands on his
lying.
knees over there all the time,
Other than
trying
that,
to
he's
bid
fucking
down.
sitting there chilling with the coaching staff, talking about how they're not going to change anything up.
Yeah, I don't know what they'd be talking about over there. Really don't.
How fucking trash half the roster is, even though it's their fault.
Yeah. Anything else in the East you want to talk about?
You still doubt Boston? You still doubt Boston's ability to come out of the conference?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Okay.
Yeah. No, when when you say that, I think there's teams that have zero chance of beating Boston, but I don't think Cleveland has really a shot. Um, Everyone else obviously under Brooklyn, there's Brooklyn, Miami, Atlanta, Toronto, Washington, all those guys, 4-0, 4-0. The thing is, Boston just doesn't play their best so often. That's the thing
And it's
for
all
me.
like self-imposed.
It is. It's self-imposed. Don't get me wrong. On paper, if Boston plays their absolute best, 100%, they should never lose ever. They shouldn't lose 18 games in the season.
Yeah.
Even if one guy is hurt, they really shouldn't lose, but they do. because they often don't play their best. Tatum shoots like garbage a lot. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown still lead the league in turnovers for any two players on the same team. And that can happen at any time in the playoffs, even more in the playoffs. Um, their defense is good, but it has its flashes as well because you can only play so good a defense if you're giving the other team fast break points, and that's what happens. They take really tough shots, which they
Yes.
can make, and tough shots mean normally long rebounds, and they don't get back because they're such a good offensive rebounding team. Everyone's crashing, so they don't really get back that well. So I think there's teams that can capitalize on that. That's why I say I think the Knicks would be a really good team to capitalize on that because the Knicks, if they get a long rebound, they're gone. It's points, especially like someone Barrett, Brunson, those guys, they take advantage of that. You know, the turnovers, they take advantage of that kind of stuff. Uh, Miami takes advantage of that, but Toronto takes advantage of that. But do I think? I obviously think they're the favorites. The Bucks are really good, though, man.
Oh no, it's top two for sure, and either one could be one and two.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the thing is, again, it is all self-imposed for me with Boston. On paper, there's nobody in the league to me better than Boston, but
no,
the way they
I think
play,
all the things you
just
said. The problem is just like last year, which they had the same problems.
yeah,
Only Golden State, Denver, and Milwaukee probably are good enough to truly expose those flaws.
it that's true. Those teams will expose them, will force them into that, but sometimes Boston just gives teams that. They just dips
Yes,
them.
but the problem
Yes,
is while they're giving them that, like you talked about the Knicks, they could also be
yeah.
completely shutting down your offense.
See, I don't see that in Boston like you do. I don't see Boston's defense being that great.
Okay.
I think
They
on
also get a lot
again
of
on paper,
Tatum gets a lot of easy opportunities because of their good defense.
he does. Yeah, he does. The thing is, one on one, when it comes to man to man, like if I was a team that only did ISOing, like Philly does a lot of times, or
Oh yeah, I told you the island
like
basketball
Dallas,
teams cannot beat Boston.
yeah, ISO team, you're gonna
Kevin
have a really
Durant
hard time.
and Kyrie showed us that last year.
Yeah, but those teams that have guys who were unconventional players, like a Randall, like a Donovan, like
Giannis.
the Bulls guys. Those guys are real unconventional with how they play. Like Donovan he plays point guard from the two spot. The Bulls guys play whatever position. I don't know what position anyone on the Bulls play team plays other than Vucevic. Um, those are the teams that usually gives Boston a hard time because it's really not a matchup thing. It's like a whoever picks them up, and a lot of times it really doesn't matter who picks those kind of players up. They still give it to you. Like Randall, like DeRozan. It doesn't matter who checks DeRozan. There's no like one-on-one stopper for DeRozan because he's just that kind of player. Those are the teams that hurts Boston. But when it's like
I
a
just
regular
don't think
team,
it'll
like you
matter.
mentioned,
It won't be in the
Dallas.
playoffs.
No. I know the Bulls won't. I'm saying there's teams like that that figure that out that can beat Boston. That expose Boston is not that great of a defensive team to me. That's all. But then, I mean,
I don't know.
they're
I just
solid
think
in top 10
Boston can win every way. Any play style,
at their best.
offense,
They can at their
defense.
best
No. But they win more games playing not well than probably any other contender.
because they have so many guys. They have so
I mean,
many
that's
guys
part
that
of it.
if
That's part of being a contender. Milwaukee does that also.
yeah,
Golden State's finding ways to do that.
but to me, those guys are different because Boston is one of a kind because it's not like Tatum can shoot bad, but because Brogdon and Brown play so well, like Tatum shooting bad could end up being in like easy baskets for them. Usually, if Steph shoots bad, like really shoots bad, like as bad as Tatum does sometimes, it's not easy baskets for Golden State. It's easy baskets for the other team.
Yeah,
But Boston, sometimes they'll shoot bad and end up playing better because they're getting second chance points. Horford's getting shots. Robert Williams is getting layups. Jaylen Brown is getting layups. But I never see it to me as far as like they lock up better. They're long and they're athletic, so they play good
I think they
defense. But
lock up better. I think
I
they
don't think they
lock
lock
up
up
when
that
their
great.
offense is not going well too.
No, I don't know.
We'll see.
I guess so. I guess so. That thing is, if they try to close game their way into the finals again, I don't see it working out like it did last year. Where like what they had like
They're gonna destroy teams, bro. They're not gonna be in close games every other playoff game.
last year.
Yeah, they're not. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't lose a home game until they face Milwaukee.
Maybe last year I think they broke a record for like the most overtime games in a playoff run, in the finals run. If I'm not mistaken, I remember that being a stat because or like most last second crunch time games in the finals run or something like that because like
You
Brooklyn
know
there
what's
was two or
crazy is I
three,
trust them in the
Miami there was like
clutch more than
four.
every other team in the East, and they're not. And they're turnover prone. Do you
Yeah, I
not?
trust them in the clutch more than every other
I
team.
don't
Yeah.
trust Giannis really because I don't really know what Milwaukee's going to look to get.
Huh?
And then obviously Philly's a disaster. The Knicks spacing isn't great. Cleveland has a glaring positional weakness. I mean, the other
Boston's
playing teams just can't guard the teams we've already talked about.
Boston's the best in the clutch too because they can make the toughest shots. It really doesn't matter what shot they get. Like
I just
as
Boston
long as
is
they get the ball, they have a good chance at winning
Boston's
in the last
play
second.
style is the most complete of any team in the league to me.
Yeah, maybe.
To me,
I'd take
again,
Milwaukee, but I'd take Milwaukee over them as far as play
I
style.
can't wait for that conference final matchup because it's looking extremely likely.
Yeah, I mean
I'm serious. I will be
the East is
utterly
rough.
shocked if anyone else is in the Eastern Conference Finals besides Milwaukee and Boston.
I think I would too.
I mean,
I
seriously,
think
like
I would too.
any of the teams we've talked about would have to exceed our expectations by a mile.
Hmm.
I mean, the other teams would have to exceed our expectations by 3 miles. The Wizards got to exceed them by like 10 miles.
Miami could do it, but no one else. I
Yeah,
mean,
Miami is
I'm
like
talking
two
about
miles.
yeah. After the Knicks, Brooklyn, Miami, Atlanta, Toronto, Washington, Chicago. I'm saying Chicago because they're still really close.
Yeah.
Um, only Miami has a shot getting to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, Miami because they I mean Jimmy Butler tends to finesse the whole season and then remind us how good he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to pull some bullshit like that again.
Yeah, he will.
Especially because he's been resting more than ever this year
Yeah, and I'm not really
on
sure
the
why they're
court.
doing that. I don't know why they're doing that.
I think they're another team that thinks they can fucking turn it on.
The problem is they can turn it on because all Jimmy has to do is be more aggressive,
I
and they're
know. I know.
automatically a
I
better
really
team.
I really hate how good he is as a basketball player because like he takes advantage of it like in an evil way.
Yeah,
But you're right. Miami is really the only other team of interest to be in the conference finals.
yeah. No one else really
God, it just to
should.
me again, Denver has looked great. Phoenix, obviously, but the gap doesn't look, that gigantic between the other teams to me.
No, they don't. They
Uh,
don't.
but here, Milwaukee and Boston just are like in a different stratosphere than the other teams in the East.
Milwaukee doesn't even have any like tough games. They lose some games, but it doesn't look like any game is even hard for them when they lose games.
I
Like,
mean,
oh yeah, we just lost that one, whatever. Like they're just they're truly coasting to me. Um,
I hate that they
when
got Jay
they
Crowder, bro. I like Cleveland. Are you kidding me?
and Ingles is like back. Ingles is like fresh. It looks
Uh,
like they have like 9 starters on their team.
he's gonna be cooking
Like
Donovan. He's gonna be cooking Donovan, giving him like, remember I used to do this?
no disrespect.
Not on
Travis not
Donovan,
letting
but
that happen.
what you mean? Who's checking him? Okoro?
Oh, yeah, he may cook Okoro. He's not
Yeah,
cooking
bro.
Donovan straight up though.
Levert is getting torched.
Yeah, the bird's getting torched. He's getting torched. Bro,
Yeah, so I guess my point is the East is not looking as interesting as I thought before.
yeah, because everyone got traded away, basically. All the guys that we thought were gonna make the East really
It's
you know,
insane that actually those two teams also they were flawless before the deadline and they still got better.
yeah, they did.
Which I mean, I didn't think Muscala was a good move, but he fits the spacing. He's a good he's good at using fouls. He's a decent rotation big.
Says so much about the rest of the conference that like no one else really even added APs. I mean, like Chicago got Pat Bev, Miami got Love, but you know,
Oh man, I gotta
uh,
give my shout out. Don't disrespect.
who
The Raptors got the final missing ingredient, a starting center,
that's
Shaka
true.
Purtle.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
I
true.
mentioned impact to start the episode. Not a lot of
Yeah,
guys have had more impact than Pirtle.
that's a fact.
He has
That's a
been,
fact.
man. I trashed him. We've trashed him several times, but he has been awesome.
It's been fantastic for them. I mean, he came in and just
Another
fit literally what they needed.
another
He's getting offensive
European
rebounds like
big
crazy.
that's good at tapping the fucking ball.
Yeah, he is. He is. He plays strong.
Good
They give
hands.
him space. He gives everyone else space.
Mm-hmm.
He's been solid.
Siakam looks much more comfortable, less of the Darius Garland ISOs, which are just sick when he does those.
Yeah.
Uh, Less of those is always a positive.
Yep. Yep. Everyone's getting more shots. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. Also, I didn't mention Atlanta got Sadiq Bey, which was a really, really
Yeah.
solid pickup. Um, they need a new I mean, they just got a new coach, Quinn Snyder. They're gonna need some adjustments, but Sadiq Bey is huge, huge upgrade from it really doesn't matter who they even started at the three before. I guess it was Hunter, but um, I guess Hunter still starts. But Sadiq is just a huge piece to add because he's played great for Detroit. He does a little bit of everything, offense and defense.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And he's another young guy. They got a nice young core still.
Yeah.
Too
Atlanta's
bad they didn't get older. I was kind of worried about that.
Atlanta's in a good spot, man. They kept John Collins, which was surprising.
Yeah,
But to your point, man, they have a lot of talent that's not really going away.
right.
And if it is going away, they're not just gonna lose all these guys. They're gonna have moves to make, pivots they could ideally target in the off season or the deadline.
Yeah. Yep. 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 I don't really have anything else for today. Do you?
No, that's it.
We'll see what happens in the East, man. Don't get me wrong. I think Boston should go to the finals. Just wouldn't put my money on it. That's all. That's all it is. I think they're the favorites, but I wouldn't bet on them. I guess I'm just pessimistic. Um,
Do you think
Western
anybody takes them to
Conference
6 in the first 2 rounds? Be honest.
first 2 rounds, second round probably.
Okay.
Second round, someone could. I don't know who it
I
would
can see
be.
the Knicks just because just Tatum being stupid more than anything.
And the Knicks, if you're gonna outscore the Knicks, like you have to do it. You have to do it every night. And the Knicks actually, like rating wise, have a better defense than the Celtics do
I believe it.
right now.
I
But
believe it.
um, the thing is, the Celtics they can outscore anybody. If they're
They can
feeling it, they can
turn on
outscore
their
anyone.
defense. Speaking of being able to turn it on, they could turn on their defense whenever they want.
They can. They can.
That's a credit to
Um,
Smart, by the way, who the more I watch the league, the more he's clearly the best defensive player in the league to me.
I mean, he's been that way for me since. I mean, he's been that way for all of Rudy Gobert's defensive player of the years. For
Yeah.
me, like for like four
It's just
years,
crazy.
5 years.
He literally he excels at every possible defensive attribute. And I don't know what the fuck Bam was talking about because I've seen Smart strap Embiid on a lot of occasions.
He plays as good a defense on Embiid as Bam
As
does.
anyone, including fucking Bam.
Yeah,
And
I've
he's
seen. I
6'3",
mean,
so I don't know what the fuck Bam was talking about.
Smart blocks centers dunks. He's blocked LeBron's dunk. He's stripped the best guards. I mean, Smart is just he's elite. He's
So
elite
elite. Draymond is the only one I would say is maybe close.
as far as like versatility
Just being
of
able to do
defense.
every defensive thing at a high level.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
like Bam to me is nowhere near the floor general that those guys are defensively. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like those guys, you just see how they tell the other guys where to go, like during the fucking play a lot of the time, while something
Hmm.
is happening on the other side. Like their understanding is just crazy.
Yeah, Smart makes the whole team look like a different team on defense when he
No, no.
comes back from
They
like
had they
injuries and
had
stuff like that.
the Cleveland game, man. They had Hauser strapping for a couple plays. I was like, man,
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah, yep. All right. Well, that is it for now. We'll be back next week. Um, talk more about that. Maybe a little bit of college. See what happens these weeks, man. Every game counts now.
Yeah.
It's getting good. Every
Yeah, we're
game
gonna get
counts.
into more of the playing teams that we didn't really talk about today.
Yeah, yeah, because that is gearing up. Like they're playing really hard. Some of those teams.
No, no. And the East is
Pelicans just
man,
can't get healthy, man.
they're all those teams are going toe to toe.
Yeah,
They've been beating each other all year. Like they've had shootouts, blowouts, overtime, just everything.
yep, yep, yep. LeBron is out for 3 weeks. How do you think that affects the Lakers? We didn't talk about that.
Mm. They're done. That's how it affects them.
If I was,
They are
I mentioned
done.
to you off air, but if the Lakers don't win, like I'll give them 4 games. If they don't win the games, I'm shutting AD down for the season. Like
I
it's
mean,
over.
hey, they won the one game without AD.
Right. But with AD, because you never know. Let's say he plays the last 20 games, he gets hurt,
And then misses the whole off season.
maybe misses all of next
Yeah,
season.
I wouldn't risk it. I'm with you. They're
Yeah,
so
if LeBron's
trash.
out
Like
for most of the season, I'll just sit AD.
they're so trash. They're honestly they're another team like Portland or OKC. They're getting fucking four zipped by anyone in the top four.
I don't know about that, but yeah, it's a very good chance. Very
I
good
mean,
chance.
you can't even say assuming LA is healthy. They don't even get that luxury. We know they
Right.
won't.
That's the thing. If they're they're not gonna be fully healthy, but if they are, if they have LeBron, they always
Yeah,
have a shot.
they have a
Always have a
shot.
shot.
It's
But
still not a good shot.
yeah, they definitely I would take Portland winning a game over taking the Lakers winning a game. I'll say that. I'll give them that much credit. So
I don't know if I agree with that, but fair enough.
I would yeah, I would just
I
the
mean,
young man.
it's the Lakers and Blazers are. I mean, it's the difference between them is not significant as far as who's better.
I know, which is sad.
Maybe a game, like their record says.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll be back. Subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys next time.